drops it across the line. Boomerang in front. Howard tried to redirect it, and the scramble at the heart. And it was dumped down the ice again, forcing Bellin to stay out there. Snaps his body. Higgins goes back to the goal. Higgins out front. They jam him. Back to the line for Bellin, moving in. Slap shot, and it hit Gardner, and he clears it down the ice. Back to the line. Wilson with a drive. It deflects to the goal by Snap. He winds. Up. Esposito the save. Loose in front. Nil scores. Dan Nil comes up with the winning goal.
Live on CBC, Hockey Night in Canada, brought to you by Molson, brewers of Molson Canadian, the great Canadian breakaway. Canadian General Electric. Canadian Tire, where you'll find a lot more than tires. And by Ford of Canada. At Ford, quality is job one, right down the line.
It's a couple of hours before game time here at the Chicago Stadium. In the visiting team dressing room, Tiger Williams, an early arrival, Ken Flager, Larry Ashley, Jerry Dean, the trainers of the Vancouver Canucks, taking a little break to enable us to record this. Boy, this place will be rocking if the Vancouver Canucks win their second in a row over Chicago tonight. And if you'd asked anybody a month or two ago about the Canuck chances of making it to the Stanley Cup Finals this year, the answer might have been nil. And if you'd asked people in Chicago about their chances of winning the first game in this series, the answer might have been nil. If you'd asked somebody to name a likely or a most unlikely goal scorer in overtime, again, the answer might have been nil, but this time it would have been a player named Jim Nill. He came through in the second overtime period with the big goal, 2-1 Vancouver over Chicago in the first game, a thriller here at the Chicago Stadium. This fellow behind me, Harry Sneps, played a tremendous game for the Vancouver Canucks in Game 1, and we'll have a word about Richard Brodeur, the sensational goaltender, in a moment. But first, with a word on the Chicago perspective, here's Don Whitman.
Assistant coach Cliff Corral of the Blackhawks, apart from scoring more goals tonight, what might you do differently against Vancouver?
Well, that's been our main concern, is getting the puck by Brodeur. We pretty well know their system of play, and we know how to stop them, but Brodeur has been a big pain in the side for us, and hopefully we can get a little more action in front of them, in front of the net, and pick up a few rebounds, and if we get up a goal or two, maybe we'll change their style of play a little bit also.
You went with 4 defensemen in the first game, basically. You're adding Keith Brown to the lineup tonight. Will that make a difference?
Yes, I think it will. If Keith's able to play, which we feel he is, we'll give our other defensemen a little bit of a rest, and hopefully we don't go into an extra overtime session. If so, maybe Brown will help us in that respect.
All right now, let's join Gary Dornhofer.
From a player standpoint, when you're playing on the road, you're really looking for a split. But Roger, winning the first game in Chicago, do you prepare yourself, your team, any differently for the second game?
Only from looking at the game and deciding on a few things that Chicago are doing that we want to take advantage of. But in our series so far, the road and home hasn't meant a thing, and we're expecting 7 tough games, and whether it's at home or the road, I don't think there's an advantage in this series. So we're just looking at it as game 2, and we got to win 4 first.
Thank you, Roger, and have a good one tonight.
Okay.
Let's go to Brian McFarland.
These are the goal pads of Richard Brodeur, 8-1 in the playoffs so far. He has been truly remarkable. Those pads don't look very wide, but to the Chicago Blackhawks, they must look as wide as the Great Wall of China. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage will return in just a moment.
The hands of Concord.
Round, 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 it gets around, it gets gets around to the best parties in town. I always take my pleasure pack because it's real well known. Export and Canadian, you just can't go wrong. Round, 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 it gets around. It gets around to the best parties in town. Pleasure pack, round, round, it gets around. Pleasure pack, round, round, it gets around. Pleasure pack.
With everything Canadian Tire sells, you might think our name should be Canadian Auto Parts. And fishing. Sporting goods. And camping. And plumbing. And houseware. And home improvement. And hardware. But you can call us Canadian Tire for short. There's a lot more to Canadian Tire than tires.
Here's a confidence in quality offer to turn the import world upside down. It's on the new size Ford Ranger. Ranger offers a 2-year comprehensive warranty and 2-year scheduled maintenance at no extra cost, and a $300 cash rebate, plus features to turn the imports right around. Ranger has a double wall box, the imports don't, and tough twin I-beam suspension. Ranger will turn the import world upside down. See it at Ford and Mercury dealers. Built Ford tough. Ford Ranger.
Once again, we're live from the Chicago Stadium, and this crowd is alive. They really gave a standing ovation to the Chicago Blackhawks when they skated out here tonight. The Hawks will have to be alive here tonight because they don't win very often. Back in Vancouver, they've lost 5, tied 2 since 1979 there. And we're going to be in for a battle of the Bees tonight. Bannerman in goal for Chicago. Brodeur in goal for Vancouver. We'll keep you posted on the other action. Quebec at the Islanders tonight, with the Islanders leading in that series 1-0. Right now, let's go upstairs to Gary and Don Whitman.
Thank you, Brian. Hi, everybody. Well, as you said, Brian, it will be a battle of the Bees. Brodeur and Bannerman in goal tonight. Brodeur, of course, coming off that 2-1 double overtime victory in Game 1 of the series. Bannerman was on the sidelines as Tony Esposito turned in a brilliant job in Game 1 for the Chicago Blackhawks. A capacity crowd in attendance once again at Chicago Stadium for Game 2 of this series. And on the basis of what they have done in the playoffs, one would never suspect that during regular season play, the Vancouver Canucks were 10, 25, and 5 on the road. Now our national anthems.
Free. was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
And again, this will be a noisy Chicago Stadium crowd tonight. Bob Myers, the referee. The linesmen are the same, Ron Finn and Bob Hodges. Richard Brodeur has started all the playoff games for the Vancouver Canucks. He has performed brilliantly. He was responsible for the 2-1 triumph in double overtime on Tuesday night. He has a 2.03 goals against average. Murray Bannerman replaces Tony Esposito. Drafted by the Canucks from the Victoria Cougars in 1977, he would certainly like to knock off his former teammates tonight. Lysiak from the faceoff kicks it in, then is checked by Sneps. Lysiak loses his glove in the process. The puck is cleared around the boards, and Lysiak races back after it into his own zone. Back for Fox. Fox is bodied in the corner. Neal kicks it around to the other side. Sharply picks it up along the boards to Lysiak. Rink wide, too far for Bully. Lindgren dumps it out. Fox steps into Sneal. The puck slides back into the Chicago zone. It's dumped to center ice. Lysiak loses his stick. He's bumped by Sneal along the boards. They fight for it there and finally force a face-off. Gary Dornhofer, early in this game, we've seen some hitting. It is an indication it's going to be a physical one again.
Well, we certainly expected a lot more of that in game one. It did not materialize, but right from the opening face-off, both teams playing very aggressively. Well, you see it. Canada defeated Sweden. I believe that score was 6-0, with Gretzky getting 3 goals, 2 assists. Soviets and Czechoslovakia tied, so there's the final standings with Team Canada winning the bronze medal.
Ruskowski, pass on the right side. Here's a 2-1. Mulvey with a drive high and over the glass, out of play. Mulvey and Preston broke in. You don't get that many 2-on-1 breaks against the Vancouver Canucks, and Mulvey opted to shoot from well out.
He was quite a ways out, and you're not going to score from Brodeur from that position. Bob Pulford is very familiar with Stanley Cup playoffs. In fact, with the Toronto Maple Leafs 4 times, receiving a ring signify the championship. He had a rough day yesterday. Not only, or the first game Tuesday, not only did his team lose, he was harassed by writers talking about going with 4 defensemen, and then his car broke down and had quite a hassle with the police, told him to move it or they'll move it.
Well, you were right when you said yesterday, Gary, because the game did not end until after midnight, and it was about 2 in the morning when Fulford finally got out of Chicago Stadium and was on his way home when the car broke down. Roger Nielsen attempting to do some juggling of his lines, and Bob Myers has just informed him to keep the players out there who were out, because he had whistle play to proceed when Nielsen attempted to make one more change.
Well, Roger is very familiar with that type of line change. He'll move all kinds of combinations out there. And a familiar one will be Williams against Secor. They spent quite a bit of time in the penalty box. Williams, he certainly liked the idea because that gets 44-goal scorer Secor off the ice.
The Chicago Blackhawks, being the home team, have the chance of making last change, and Bob Pulford sends out the Ruskowski line. Immediately, Williams and Miner head to the bench as Vancouver makes a change. Here's a chance for Mulvey again. Shoot! Wow! Twice now, Mulvey and Preston have broken in 2-on-1. Penalty coming up against the Vancouver Canucks. Find out what's happening in that game between Quebec and Long Island. Let's go to Steve Armitage.
Don, the Islanders open the scoring at 7:46 of the first period. Dan Bouchard comes out of the net, loses his stick, Wayne Merrick has a wide open net and gives New York a 1-0 lead over Les Nordiques. Quebec tie the game 4 minutes later. Mark Tardif scores his first goal of the playoffs. He moves in on the right, cuts around the defense, and beats Billy Smith with a wrist shot to the short side. It's tied at 1 in the first period. Islanders Quebec, Game 2 in the Prince of Wales final in Uniondale. Here's the tying goal for Quebec.
Back at Chicago Stadium, nil in the penalty box for a holding. The Blackhawks with the man advantage. Wilson shoots it in. Along the boards, Lysiak unable to play it. It goes back of the goal. Secord is spun around. Lindgren trying to poke it free. He gets it along the boards to Moline, and he clears it.
Well, the power play of the Blackhawks is a potent affair once they can get things set up. Look for Doug Wilson. He's their strength back along the blue line. And while the Blackhawks are carrying the puck up, referee Bob Myers detects a couple of players having a few words, and Secord and Lindgren will head for the penalty box.
From Chicago Stadium, this is Stanley Cup 82 on CBC.
When your lights go out.
Where's the flashlight?
In that drawer, but it's been there for ages. It'll never work.
Sure it will. It's got Duracell batteries in it.
These Duracell batteries are 2 years old. Will they work? Yes. And in tests of 2-year-old Duracell batteries against brand new regular carbon batteries, 2-year-old Duracell still lasted longer. Duracell. The copper top battery. No regular battery looks like it.
Or lasts like it. Play just underway. Slashing penalties to Secord and Lindgren. Preston working to the corner. The native of Regina takes the shot. Save. The puck loose in front. Mulvey was trying to jam it in. And there's a pile-up in front of the Vancouver goal as Brodeur made the save on the screen drive by Preston. Gary, this is something we were talking to Brodeur before the game about. He does not give up many rebounds. His defensemen clear that puck very well.
That has certainly been the key for the Vancouver Canucks, is the ability for the defense. Once the shot is there, it's either Brodeur who sits on it or the defense able to clear it out of the zone. In the first game, Chicago only gave up 1 rebound and it resulted in an overtime goal. And the same thing happened to the Canucks with Lysiak getting a good scoring opportunity, but Brodeur saved it. Chicago would like to get as much traffic in front of Brodeur as they possibly can. Bob Pulford talked about that before the game. Well, you saw in the first sequence that they're certainly trying to do that.
46 seconds remaining in the penalty to nil. The Hawks with the man advantage. They're trying to apply some pressure, and Mulvey has it in the corner. Back of the net for Ruskowski. Out to the point. Murray with a drive. Stopped in front. It did not get through to Brodeur, and it cleared the length of the ice. Bannerman is forced to make the save. 24 seconds remaining in the penalty. Murray lugging it out of his own zone. A long shot that is deflected into the corner. Mulvey having difficulty trying to pick it up along the boards. Moline finally holds it there for a face-off. 13 seconds left in the penalty to Jim Nill, who was the overtime hero in Game 1. Rich Preston played WHA hockey with Houston and Winnipeg before coming to the Blackhawks. Underwent knee surgery a year ago. Graduate of the University of Colorado.
Now, Preston was very instrumental in setting up the first Blackhawk goal to Ruskowski. He worked so hard in the corner and fed it to Ruskowski, who got an easy goal.
Wilson with the great shot. Puck loose in front. Preston fired it wide. Kept in by Bannerman. And the play is whistled down. Another penalty coming up. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Chicago Stadium.
Molson Light has got heart. Molson Light has got heart. It's got taste. Molson Light has got to life.
Traffic in front of Richard Brodeur. Again, he makes the save, and you see Campbell hauling down the Blackhawks. So the Canucks are running into a lot of penalty problems early in this first period.
He didn't hold, he tackled him in front of the net.
And you should be very familiar about that, Don. Well, now the Canucks certainly have their work cut out for them. A 2-man advantage for only 7 seconds, and then Jim Nill will return to the ice.
The Blackhawks applying the early pressure in Game 2 of this conference final. Jerry Minor is out there into the face-off circle. Savard is waved out along with Minor. Sneps moves in with Lysiak.
Now the New York Islanders 1, the Quebec Nordiques 1.
Back to Savard. Savard for Lysiak. Back to Savard. Slap shot. And it hit Hallward. Lysiak with a drive. It's wide. Picked up in the corner by Bully. Nill is back in the ice. Wilson at the line to the other side. Murray with a drive. It's deflected. Picked up and brought out by the Canucks, Jim Nill. Good pressure again, Gary, by the Hawks on the power play.
You know, it must be getting very frustrating for Chicago. They're certainly getting the good scoring chances. In Game 1, 17 shots in the first period, only 1 goal. And here we are again, where they're getting all kinds of chances, just can't get the puck in the net.
Murray slaps it. It's deflected in front. The puck is loose. Bully couldn't get his stick on it. Savard attempted to deflect it in front of the net, and it's cleared with 1:12 left in the penalty to Campbell.
Gets a little tough in front of that net. I mean, guys are getting knocked down. Sneps a good check.
Savard had moved in across the line offside. Bully had to wait. He lost it there to Gradine. Gradine brings it in across the Chicago line, fighting for it along the boards, and finally forcing a face-off with 54 seconds left in the penalty to Campbell.
Now, I don't care what anybody says, even the writers from Winnipeg. Harold Sneps has still had an outstanding playoff series. And without that guy, the Canucks certainly wouldn't be in the position that they're in today.
Well, Sneps has been one of the dominant defensemen in all the series the Canucks have been involved in.
Now, Howard and Sneps both deposited the Blackhawks from in front of that net. And Brodeur had mentioned, he says, look, the reason I'm having the success in the playoffs is the guys in front of me. Well, there's a good indicator how important they are in clearing the front.
Harold Sneps, 6'3", 220 pounds. The native of Edmonton has certainly been a tower of strength back in that blue line in the playoffs for the Canucks. He has logged something like 40 minutes per game. Fired in, but it's whistled down as Bannerman gloved it. There's the man who was in goal on Tuesday night, 39-year-old Tony Esposito.
Now, we saw a demonstration of 2 goaltenders, something we haven't seen in a long time. What a performance they put on. And Tony Esposito, the aging veteran, letting everybody know that the skills have certainly not escaped him. He missed out by 1. It was that close, but Jim Nill in the second over took care of the contest.
26 seconds left in the penalty. Wilson with a drive. The puck at the side of the net. Ruskowski was trying to knock it out front, and he was tied up by Sneps. Along the boards, Preston trying to dig it out. Ruskowski is in there, so is Mulvey. Preston gets it. Back to the line, and Murray, not anticipating that pass out, was unable to control it. Now Wilson with 5 seconds left gets it into Preston. Preston tried to center it, knocked down by Sneps. To the line, kept in by Wilson. A drive deflected wide. At the side of the net, picked up by Preston. Preston back to the line. The Canucks are back at full strength. Another shot right on, and the save by Bannerman. Another drive, and Bannerman makes yet another save. A shot by Murray, the save. And this time, Wilson's shot goes off Campbell. Sneps picks it up along the boards, not out. Kept in there by Wilson in front of the net. Mulvey on the backhand, couldn't get a good shot away. Minor along the boards, bumps the Feimster. Campbell gets it and dumps it down the ice. Tremendous pressure. Great goaltending again by Brodeur. Puck comes to the line. It's picked up there by Smeel. Smeel with Bolderev. Bolderev going back of the net. Right out front. And Darcy Rhoda had Bannerman tied up and couldn't get a stick on it. Belland with a drive. It's deflected off the glass. In the corner they fight for it, and finally it's brought out by Peter Marsh for Gardner. He shoots it in. Hallward goes in back of the goal. The young defenseman who formerly played with Los Angeles, trying to move it out of there, finally succeeds in getting it to center ice. Here's a chance for Rhoda. Rhoda with Boldarev. He couldn't control it. It goes loose in the corner. 13:31 is the time remaining. The play whistled down in the corner. It's very difficult with this noisy crowd. A penalty coming up to hear that whistle. This is Hockey Night in Canada from Chicago Stadium.
You probably pay about 40 cents a liter for gasoline. Of that money, roughly 6 cents covers the cost of discovering and producing crude oil. Another 6 cents goes into refining, marketing, distribution, administration, corporate taxes, and profits. The retailer gets about 4 cents. So in total, the petroleum industry earns about 16 cents. The other 24 cents goes to various governments in taxes and royalties. We thought you might want to understand that because we believe energy solutions begin with understanding.
Well, the Canucks were on a rush, and number 14, third-round pick in 79 from the Peterborough Petes, Gardner, will draw the hooking penalty, so the Vancouver Canucks with their first power play opportunity.
Breaking out, Rich Preston, working to the corner, dodging a check. The puck goes loose. Preston takes it back of the net. Takes it in against the boards with Belland. Preston trying to freeze it there and force a face-off. Now kicks it back to Lysiak. Lysiak dumps it back to Feimster, who goes into his own zone. 1:37 remaining in the penalty to Gardner. Fired in now by Smeal. Bannerman stops it back of the net for Feimster up along the boards. Preston deflects it to center ice. Preston goes to the bench as the Hawks make a change. Rick Patterson comes out to do some penalty killing. Belland in across the line. There was some doubt as to whether Belland would play tonight after stopping a shot in Game 1. However, he took the pregame skate and was able to continue. Cleared down the ice by Chicago with 1:03 remaining in the penalty to Gardner. Hallward in his own zone. Has to go back to get away from Patterson. Now plays it over to Belland. Off the boards. It hit a skate and is dumped in offside, Vancouver. At the end of the first period on Long Island, Quebec and the Islanders tied at 1. We caught a glimpse of Darcy Rhoda a moment ago, a former member of the Blackhawks. I noticed a sign hanging in the upper deck. He still has some fans here. They call themselves Rota-Rooters. Aldebrink circling back into his own zone. 43 seconds left in the penalty to Gardner. Hallward for Rhoda. Rhoda moving in with a shot. It deflects. Bannerman gloves it and holds it for a face-off.
Well, not much action for Bannerman so far tonight. See Ruskowski, what he has done so far in the playoffs, but he was a pest all night as far as the Vancouver Canucks are concerned. That's his style of game. He goes in there and mucks it up in front of the net, takes the body. A little different style than the other two centermen that the Blackhawks have, and Lysiak and Savard. They're the fluent skating, puck-handling center ice.
Patterson takes it off the boards and clears it. Hallward goes back with 20 seconds left in the penalty. He's being pestered by Ruskowski. Ruskowski, the captain of the Hawks, very popular here in Chicago. Now the Canucks come out. Curry flips it in. Brassard trying to feed it back out front. Curry is upset. The puck goes loose. Wilson is knocked off the puck by Curry. Brassard back of the net. Has it taken away by Murray. Chicago back at full strength. They jam away back of the net. It comes loose and is picked up by Patterson. He clears it down the ice. 11:16 is the time left in this first period. It's scoreless at the Chicago Stadium. Back after it into his own zone, Keith Brown. Dressed for the first time since he broke an ankle on the 23rd of December. Secord shoots it in. Snaps into the corner, trying to pick it up and get it out. He does. Miner working across the line, flips it into the Chicago zone. Brown back of the net, up along the boards as the Hawks now go to the attack. Savard working to the corner, going around Lindgren. He still has it, feeding it in front. Secord couldn't get a stick on it. Higgins back to the line. Hutchison fires it into the corner. Back to Secord, a shot just wide of the far corner. Brown steps into Williams, but the Tiger dumps it down the ice. Hutchison, his first shift of the hockey game. Almost had his pass picked off. It slides back into the Chicago zone. Brown dumps it into the center ice area, and then Williams fires it back in with 10-12 remaining in this opening period. It's scoreless. The Blackhawks and Vancouver, game 2 of the conference final. In back of the net, Sharpley and Lysiak. Lysiak gets it for Sharpley, trying to move in. He's upset by Campbell. Penalty coming up against Vancouver. Colin Campbell will be going off, and he's not at all happy. As Colin Campbell heads to the penalty box, at this time we welcome the viewers who have been enjoying the action between the Quebec Nordiques and the New York Islanders. And we'll show you now the penalty that Colin Campbell drew against Sharpley.
Again, the Blackhawks are applying tremendous pressure. They're penetrating in the Blackhawks zone. Sharpley, an opportunity. Campbell hauled them down, so this will be the third opportunity that the Blackhawks have had on the power play, trying to break this scoreless tie. And you know, it's kind of crazy the way things are working out here. Again, all the pressure, no goals.
Deflection, and Brodeur comes up with the glove save on the drive from the point by Gardner. Sneps and Mulvey exchanging words back behind the Vancouver goal.
Now, during the playoffs, the Blackhawks have lost 4 games, and on each occasion, they have outshot the opposition. All the games they won, they were outshot. And again, the Blackhawks are getting all the chances, all the good scoring opportunities, but can't get that puck past Brodeur. The reflexes as Brodeur is able to glove from a deflection from Lindgren's stick.
The draw comes back to Gardner. Slap shot! Brodeur makes another save. He got an arm on that one. Back to the line. Gardner fakes the shot to Ruskowski. Back to Gardner. He tried to move in, but couldn't get a shot away, and Sneps clears it. 9:35 is the time left in period 1. 1:38 remaining in the penalty to Colin Campbell. This first period has belonged to the Blackhawks, but they have been unable to solve the goaltending wizardry of Richard Brodeur. The shot is deflected to center ice. Murray for Mulvey. Mulvey tried to go rink wide. It's broken up by Lindgren and cleared. As Gradine touches it, the Vancouver Canucks are called on an offside pass.
Well, I guess the best thing that could happen to Jim Nill is being a member of the Vancouver Canucks. And he was certainly the man of the hour in Game 1 as he took the rebound after a save by Tony Esposito, and at 8:58 of the second overtime period, ended a very tiring hockey game. Both teams almost exhausted at that point. And you know, Don, as we were walking down from our broadcast position, the people here in Chicago, they were treated to a fine hockey game. You know, it was disappointing for them that the Blackhawks lost, but they liked what they saw out there.
They all marveled at the work of one Richard Brodeur in goal for the Vancouver Canucks in Game 1. That's been a familiar story in the preliminary series with the Calgary Flames. More pronounced his work in the second round against the Los Angeles Kings, and again in Game 1 here on Tuesday night. Murray for Wilson. Ahead to Secord. He flips it to the corner. Lysiak racing in there. Sneps got to it first, and it's cleared down the ice.
Now, Wilson had mentioned that in Game 1, he really wasn't getting the chances or the good shots from the point that he normally does. He said the guys were really watching me closely, so that would be the right wingers. But look for him to shoot at every opportunity.
Wilson, of course, 39 goals, the most by a defenseman since Bobby Orr. However, he didn't have too many chances in game one. They jump on him quickly. Now it's Savard. Back of the net, trying to set something up. Savard almost had it poked away by Lindgren. Savard falls. The fans react, thinking there should have been a penalty. Lysiak shoots. And Brodeur again makes the save. I believe Lindgren got a piece of it. Savard has his stick up against Moline. A couple of flyweights there, both about 165 pounds.
Now, Lindgren's stick got caught in the skate of Savard, and he was trying with all his might to get that stick out of that skate position so he could get back in the play.
With the score, Vancouver nothing and Chicago nothing. This is Stanley Cup 82.
When you're going to be in the spotlight, don't you want an antiperspirant that goes on dry, fast, and easy? Try Menon Speed Stick Plus. It's not wet, not sticky, and it goes on fast and easy because it's wide and smooth and solid. Speed Stick Plus gives you long-lasting protection against wetness and odor. You can count on it. Menon Speed Stick Plus Antiperspirant from the makers of Speed Stick, Canada's #1 stick deodorant.
Now, this is what the Blackhawks were complaining about as Lindgren gets that stick caught in the skate. He's trying to get it out. Now, Savard's getting a little upset, and finally, it's free. And again, Brodeur, with Lindgren actually screening him, is able to make the save with the blocker and hang on for the rebound. But we have a couple of penalties.
Miner and Secord went off for their part in that little shoving altercation that took place back of the Vancouver net. Lindgren fortunate that he did not draw a tripping infraction there. 19 seconds left in the penalty to Campbell. The Hawks with the man advantage. Along the boards. Comes back to the line for Wilson. Wilson and the linesman got tangled up. Lysiak has lost his stick, gets it to Wilson, back to the line. Murray with a drive, it hit a leg and bounces down the ice. Wilson racing back after it along with Moline, and Murray got in Moline's road to prevent him from getting to the puck. The Canucks are back at full strength. 7:47, the time left in the first period. Long drive. Ricochets off the boards. Bully trying to keep it in, but it's cleared by Vancouver, and bringing it out is Brasser. Drop pass for Fraser. He shoots it wide of the net. Bannerman plays it off the boards for Sharpley. Lysiak couldn't get it out. Kept in by Smeel. Smeel playing it in back of the net. Bannerman is out there to play it, knocking it away from Fraser. Lysiak was tied up. Brasser had taken him out of the play. Brought back now by Feimster at the line. The play broken up, and Hallward comes back. Hallward with a drive. Glove save by Bannerman. And again, a lot of conversation and a little pushing and shoving in front of that Chicago goal.
Must be very boring for Bannerman because he's only had to make 2 saves in tonight's contest. You know, sometimes that's the worst thing that could happen to a goaltender. They like to have a few shots. Not as many as Brodeur has had tonight, but just to keep you in the game. So the concentration has to be as high as ever for Bannerman until he gets a little more work.
What a job Murray Bannerman did in the first 2 playoff games that the Blackhawks won against the North Stars in Minnesota.
Now Hallward, who's been rushing that puck at every opportunity. That's that slap shot goal from the top of the left circle, and Bannerman with that glove save.
Bannerman, a native of Fort Francis, Ontario, his first start in this conference final. Esposito in goal for game 1. Campbell with a long shot, it's wide. 7 minutes remaining in the first period. It's scoreless as Fox fires it into the Vancouver zone. Tiger Williams trying to pick it up along the boards. Runs into a check. The puck goes loose. Peter Marsh back of the goal, trying to get it free. Marsh fighting for it with Campbell. Higgins also moves in. Finally, it is tied up at the side of the net. Higgins ran into Bannerman, and Bannerman appears to be hurt. Brodeur appears to be hurt. Now, Fox and Hallward are going to go at it. was jammed in against the post as Higgins tried to move out in front of the Vancouver goal.
But there was quite a battle going on behind the net with Marsh and Campbell, with Marsh trying to gain control of that puck and set up a play. And we'll have more penalties as Fox heads for the penalty box.
Hockey Night in Canada will continue in a moment.
People trust Seiko technology for bold sports watches that perform brilliantly, even 100 meters beneath the sea. People trust Seiko for slim dress watches with every timekeeping function you'll probably ever need. People trust Seiko for watches that are as finely crafted as they are technologically advanced. In fact, people trust Seiko more than any other watch.
A couple of good efforts behind the Vancouver net. Campbell of the Canucks and Marsh of the Blackhawks, both of them trying their best, one to stop the other for gaining position, gaining control of that puck. And then you saw Higgins cutting in front and knocking Brodeur down, and he seemed to be shaken up. He was stretching out that glove hand of his, but knowing Brodeur, he's probably all right.
Actually, it was Tiger Williams who drove Higgins into the Vancouver goaltender.
Not Tiger.
For the second game, the Tiger has been involved in a mix-up involving the goaltenders. He was chasing a loose puck, collided with Esposito in game one. You may recall Esposito shaken up, and here knocking Higgins into Brodeur. Brodeur shaking up, but he will continue. Williams on the right side for Gradine. Gradine trying to go around Hutchison. Hutchison knocks him off the puck. The big defenseman gets it in the corner. Kept in by Fraser. His drive and the quick reaction by Bannerman. Back comes Sharpley. For Lysiak. Slap shot saved by Brodeur, and he grabs it at the side of the net.
That's the thing that you're always so afraid of in Chicago Stadium. The Blackhawks have always had a reputation of the first 10 minutes applying tremendous pressure. Tonight, the same thing happened, and you know, as a opposing team, you just have to be aware of that and try to send up some kind of defense. Well, the Blackhawks have certainly outplayed Vancouver, and again, it's Brodeur that has provided the stopping. He has just stopped everything thrown at him, and it has to be frustrating for Chicago at this point. You know, they're talking to themselves, what do we have to do to get one in the net?
Particularly number 12, the native of High Prairie, Alberta, Tom Lysiak, who was stymied on 3 or 4 great scoring chances in game one. Smeo flips it in, races in after it himself, spins around, takes the shot, gets it back again, tried to center it, and Lysiak dumps it, but not out. Snaps with a drive. It ricochets off a leg, back to center ice. 5:49 left in period one. It's scoreless at Chicago Stadium. Fraser off the boards into the Chicago zone. Right out front, and it's picked off by Bannerman and held for a face-off. A capacity crowd again at Chicago Stadium. Higher regulations permit official attendance from exceeding 17,600, but they did have a crowd of 20,960 for the first game of the Minnesota series that was played here in Chicago, the third game actually of that series. I think there was better than 20,000 here the other night, Gary, although they didn't announce the attendance.
No, there was a lot of them. I mean, you couldn't find an empty seat, standing room all over. And, you know, the reason that you get that closed-in feeling, there is no area to walk around behind the glass. That's all seats. And that's the feeling that you get when you're opposing player, that all 20,000 are against you.
Campbell with a drive that's kicked to the corner by Bannerman. Delorme manages to get it loose for Brasser. He tried to cut out front of the net, was knocked off the puck by Murray. Gardner comes back, shooting it in for Peter Marsh. Off the board. Bannerman, or Brodeur rather, out to cut off the angle. Patterson lost it in the Vancouver zone. Beamster keeps it in, a deflection. Marsh at the side of the net. He tried to jam it in, and Brodeur went down to stop Marsh again.
Now, something that the Blackhawks are doing more of this game is they're using all 4 lines. In game 1, consistently used 3 lines and only 4 defensemen. Marsh, several good chances around Brodeur. DeLorme and Feimster had a few words to say each other, fencing.
Colin Campbell and Marsh also exchanging pleasantries. Live from Chicago Stadium, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Join the movement to Molson Light.
5:02 is the time remaining in this scoreless first period at Chicago Stadium. Game 2. Vancouver leading 1-0. Gardner goes into the face-off circle against Brasser. From the face-off, the puck put wide of the Vancouver net. Rota along the boards, fighting there with Rick Patterson. They force another face-off. We will, of course, keep you up to date on what's happening at the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island, New York, and Quebec, going into the second period with the score tied at 1. The Islanders winners of Game 1, 4-1. And during this game, Chicago and Vancouver will continually update the other semifinal encounter as the score changes.
Savard's line is out there against Bolderev, and this is the combination that Roger Nielsen does not want to have. He doesn't want Bolderev out against Savard, so look for Gerdine to get out there as soon as possible.
Savard tried to feed it across. It was intercepted by Nil. He shoots at the length of the ice, and as you indicated, Gary, that change is being made by Roger Nielsen. Secord passed it behind Higgins. Lars Moline had it poked away. Campbell has to wait at center ice for Moline to get onside. He did not wait long enough. NHL update coming your way. Let's once again join Steve Armitage.
Don, the Islanders have got in front 2-1 at 1:33 of the second period. Great work from Bob Bourne behind the net. A pass in front to Mike Bossy. Using Peter Stasny as a screen, Bossy beats Bouchard high. For Bossy, his 7th goal of the playoffs. 2-1 Islanders over Quebec in the second period.
And with 4:28 still left in this first period at Chicago Stadium, Moline deflects it to center ice. Higgins plays it in off Preston. It's dumped back out. Here's a chance for Rota. Rota with a drive, and it's handled by Bannerman. Back of the net for Hutchison. Up along the boards and back into the Vancouver zone. Savard bumps with Minor, but it's flipped down the ice. And Hutchison races back, gives it to Wilson. Rink wide for Higgins. Across the line, he had it poked away. It's brought in offside by Wilson with 3:52 left in period 1.
Now, Coach Bob Pulford, he has made a slight change in his lineup. Sharpley was playing with Savard and Secord, so he's moved Sharpley to another line and put in Higgins. Higgins had a strong game in Game 1, so he figured by putting him with Savard and Secord to get a little offense going and get some pressure. Mainly what they're looking for is some goals.
Roger Nielsen, a real student of the game. He's been noted in the playoffs this year for the line juggling he has done, particularly in that preliminary series against the Calgary Flames, doing much the same here against the Chicago Blackhawks. Witkowski back of the net, tried to feed it out front. Seth played that one well, taking him out of the play. Feimster back to the line. A weak shot knocked down, and Minor starts out. Minor only playing his second game since being hurt in January. Taken in against the boards, and the loose puck picked up by Mulvey. Mulvey almost lost it. He was upset. However, he managed to get it to the line to Ruskowski.
The Hawks back in their own zone to reorganize. Bannerman for Ruskowski. He left it for Secor. Secor, stop shot, save Brodeur. And it's cleared. Kept in apparently at the line. Savard with a chance. Drive, high shot. Something ricocheting off the glass, and Lindgren clears it. 2:57 remaining in the period. Icing against Vancouver. This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Chicago Stadium.
The following performance is brought to you by the Champion Spark Plug Company. We're starting the 1982 performance season with over 197 Formula One Grand Prix victories, domination of international motorcycle championships, worldwide use by major professional racing teams, not to mention surer starts, better mileage, and smooth, dependable performance. Next tune-up, insist on Champion Spark Plugs. Champion wins the world over.
Always a good shot to see the way a goaltender handles the action in front of him. That shot just whistled over his head, and then Brodeur has a look behind to see where that rebound was headed for.
Snepp takes it back of his own net. The Blackhawks with a wide edge in play in this opening period. Nil shoots it in. Bannerman playing it off the boards for Higgins. He's having trouble getting out of his own zone. 2:30 remaining in this first period. It's still scoreless. Snaps for Vancouver. Over to Bellin. Rink-wide pass knocked down by Higgins. Higgins tried to feed it in for Savard. He's spun around by Snapp. The puck is loose. Up along the boards, Bradeen helps it slide to the neutral zone. The Blackhawks go to the attack again. Savard knocked off the puck. Belland and Secord collide. Nil brings it out. Brought in across the line offside by Vancouver with 2:01 left in the period.
Well, you'd think that Tigers' strategy in the series against the Blackhawks would be to pay special attention to Secord, take him off the ice at every opportunity. He certainly did that a lot in Game 1, but Vancouver's strategy, of course, the key players that Roger Nielsen had talked about were Lysiak, Savard, and Wilson, and they did hold all three off the scoreboard in that 2-1 victory, although Lysiak and Savard had many good scoring opportunities. So he felt that, look, we have to do a better job than we did the first game.
Feemster fires it into the corner, sharply trying to pick it off the boards. It deflects off Colin Campbell's stick, over the glass, out of play. Sharply, as you pointed out, moved to the Lysiak line. There's some suspicion that perhaps he has not fully recovered, Gary, from the eye injury he suffered mid-season.
Well, he doesn't really talk about it. He says he's all right, so he can only speculate.
Bully couldn't get a shot away. Sharply feeds it back to the line. Murray winds up right on. Bully trying to get his stick on it. He's being tied up. Another drive by Murray goes wide. Sharply moving right up front. He shoots, he scores!
That line change has paid dividends for the Blackhawks and also Len Sharpley. For one of the few times in this series, the Canucks cannot cover up a rebound. As Brodeur goes down, Sharpley gets his own rebound and tucks it to the glove side. But some good work here by Glenn Sharpley as he hangs in there. You know, it's both defensemen when it's Ted Bully in front of the net, and that allowed Sharpley to do it all himself. And the crowd is still hollering and screaming for that individual effort. Actually went right through the legs of Brodeur and into the net. So the Blackhawks, as they did in Game 1, draw first blood.
Almost as though the two defensemen were mesmerized. They both moved away from Sharpley. When he started out, they went to Bully in front of the net, and Sharpley had Brodeur at his mercy.
Roger made the initial save, but sharply pounced on the rebound for the 1-0 Chicago lead with 1:16 left in this first period. Glenn Sharpley, a native of Toronto, and the crowd certainly reacted to that opening goal of the hockey game. The Blackhawks have had success when they have scored first.
One thing about Sharpley, a very versatile forward. He's a right-handed shot, but he'll move to the left side, center ice, right wing. Oh, Pulford can utilize him in many positions, but his own rebound through the legs of Verdure, and the Blackhawks go ahead 1-0.
1:16 is the time left. The face-off to the left of Brodeur. Snep picks it up in the corner. Into the center ice area. Brasser plays it into the Chicago zone. Fox goes back after it. We move into the final minute of this first period. Chicago in front, 1-0. Secord goes back to the net, trying to center it. Snep comes up with the puck and plays it ahead to Moline. In across the line with Miner. Moline takes the shot. He's spun around. There's a penalty coming up against the Blackhawks. It may be Fox who will be going off.
The Hawks had a rush going, and Moline, who is tricky once he's inside that blue line, he saw Fox from his defensive position grab a hold of Moline, haul him down. So for 42 seconds in the first period, the Canucks will enjoy that power play. They were very ineffective in the first power play opportunity.
Bob Pulford, as you can plainly see, does not agree with the call by referee Bob Myers. Myers hasn't wasted any time in whistling play down tonight. He is not going to let this one get out of control.
Now, we do not have a shot clock here at the stadium, so we have no idea what the shot total is, but believe me, I think it's quite a few for the Blackhawks. I don't think Canucks have had more than 5 or 6.
Radine controlling in the corner, knocked off the puck by Murray, and it's brought to center ice by Patterson. Patterson doing a good job of killing off this penalty. Along the boards, has it stolen away by Smeal. Across the line for Gradine. He shoots it in behind the Chicago goal. Patterson along the boards, being pounded there by Gradine, and they force a face-off with 12 seconds left in the period. Glenn Sharpley with the only goal of the game. The Canucks with the man advantage. 1:30 remaining in the penalty to Greg Fox. The gate is open at the Vancouver bench. Gradine is coming off. Boldarev is going out there. Fraser is on the wing. Boldarev will be attempting to get that draw to Moline, who is at the top of the face-off circle. Comes back to the line. Bellin with a drive. Bannerman makes the save. Boldarev has it stolen away. It's dumped down the ice, and that will end period 1. And the Chicago Blackhawks, to a thunderous ovation from the capacity crowd, head to the dressing room with the lead for the first time in this series. The score at the end of the first period, Chicago 1, Vancouver 0.
You gotta have taste to put a smile upon your face. If you're moving to a beer with great taste, there's only one place to start. Molson Light has got heart. Light taste has got heart. Molson Light has got heart. Heart!
Join the movement to Molson Light.
35 ways to become more effective with long distance. Your reactions, please. Droninger?
Masterpiece, boss. Great tips on confirming orders and correspondence.
Big B?
Profound, Chief. Everything I want to know about improving customer service with long distance.
Armbruster?
Chock full of ways to boost sales, but what's in it for you, boss?
I think this is one book we can all judge by its cover.
Call toll-free 1-800-268-6364 for your free copies.
As proof of the confidence Ford has in the quality of their cars, the great three-part offer is now extended to cover 10 car lines. You get 2 years scheduled maintenance at no extra cost. That includes oil, filters, plugs, even wiper blades. The list goes on. You'll also get a 2-year comprehensive warranty. So for 2 years, virtually all you pay for is gas. Buy now and get a special 5% cash bonus of up to $500. The closest thing to cost-free driving. Details at Ford and Mercury dealers.
First period here at the Chicago Stadium tonight, 1-0. The Chicago Blackhawks leading goal by sharply. Shots on goal, Tiger Williams, 19-6 in favor of the Blackhawks, but your club doesn't worry too much about being outshot.
We've been outshot about every period, every game we've been in, and in this period, its relationship there is all the penalties they had, and we did a good job killing them, and they got good point shots, but as long as they shoot from the point, we're not worried about that.
I remember a series, 4 or 5 years ago, when you gave me a great quote. You said, them Pittsburgh's Penguins are done like dinner. Have you got anything to say about this Chicago series yet?
Well, not yet. I've learned, Brian, when I said that 4 or 5 years ago, I don't want to give anybody any more incentive than they already got of the pride of winning. So we're going to work hard, and our strategy is we're down 1 now. We've been down 1 before in other games. We're just going to play the same. You know, some of us have to sit there for 10 minutes waiting to go out and check, and you got to be ready. And we did that through this whole playoffs, and we've come through big. And we're not going to change 1 iota going out in this next period.
You did say something about Dennis Savard in the papers today. You said you're going to be all over him like a bad smell. And one of the reporters said, Tiger Williams is the most obnoxious of the Canucks, and he deserves a lot of hisses for the work he does out there. What's your retort to that?
Well, you know, we're going to aggravate Savard and Wilson and Murray and Secord as much as we can, and they're going to have to either play better or put up with it. And I think over the long run we'll wear them down. We did this against 2 pretty good hockey players already, and that was Dion and Taylor, McDonald and Nielsen in the Calgary series, and it's worked. And we're gonna be on these guys all the time and mentally grind them down. And you know, one coach told me one time, if you come out of the game and you don't have any marks on your head, then you haven't did a job. And we're going to be all over these guys, and they're going to have to put up with it.
You turn your profile. You got a little mark there around the eye from the other night.
Yeah, I ran on the door there. The doorknobs are very high here.
What is your feeling about Al Secord? Cherry says he's just about the toughest, roughest guy in hockey today. A lot of people think twice about tangling with him.
He's a big guy, and he's had a pretty good year, and Chicago looked for him as a leadership, but I think he knows that he's not going to get away with anything on this team, and because he's playing with Savard, we're going to hit Savard. We don't care if Secord's there or anybody else.
What would you tell the folks out there who didn't give the Vancouver Canucks any chance at all of advancing this far in the playoffs?
Well, I think that's good to be the underdog. And the guys in our room, especially the young guys, it gives them more drive. They want to come out and prove themselves to the hockey world. I hope every day everybody thinks we're a bunch of bums, and that way we've got our own drive and our own pride.
You've proved you're anything but. Thanks very much, Tiger. Good luck the rest of the way. Tiger Williams, Hockey Night in Canada continues in just a moment.
Last month, the boss gave me a new job. Cooper, I want you to choose the office copier. So I looked at every one there was, every single one. How's it coming, Cooper? Finally, I chose a Xerox copier. The price was right, the copies were superb, and the selection was miles ahead. But most importantly, it's got Xerox behind it.
Good choice, Cooper. Now then.
After all, nobody ever went wrong being fussy and stingy.
Every day, more than 75,000 Canadians go to work for CN. These people are responsible for running our businesses profitably. Those profits enable CN to grow, expand, and diversify. That's good for our businesses, the country, and the Canadian people. In short, that's good business. CN, in business for Canada.
An old soldier should never rust away. Not when you've got Tremclad rust paint to dress up metal that gets rusty and crusty. So in practically no time, he's bright and shiny again. No wonder Tremclad is Canada's #1 selling rust paint.
Energizer.
This fence could take all day. All day? Good thing I just put the Energizer in your radio.
Of all leading brands, nothing outlasts the Energizer from Eveready. Nothing outsnaps it. Nothing out-adds, outwalks, outplays, outtapes, outshines, outlasts it. Nothing.
I'm wiped out. But the Energizer's still going strong.
Energizer. Energizer. For life.
Long life.
Energize me.
Chicago Stadium, Tiger Williams isn't worried, even though Glenn Sharpley has scored the only goal so far, and Chicago leads Vancouver 1-0. I know you're all anxious to see what's happening on Long Island, so let's go there right now in action between Quebec and the Islanders.
It rolls into the corner.
We welcome our viewers who have been watching the Chicago-Vancouver game. 5:45 left here, second period.
Stastny going in, he scores! Peter Stastny, what a time! To Julian Dick, you are a marvel.
That makes it 2-2 as we'll get the score. Don Cherry has been saying on our broadcast, the Nordiques have to get in closer on Billy Smith rather than shoot from far out. Don, there is your perfect example.
Well, there it is. Usually they're shooting from here. I'm sure Michel Bergeron told him, you have to work on Billy Smith. You're not going to beat him away out there, and that's exactly what they did. You see, it was a left-hand shot walking in there. Right-hand shot, he wouldn't have a chance there.
Don, on his other rush, I mentioned all the moves that Stastny has. He didn't make me look very good, and Smith knocked it away from him. But he came right back, and he was working like a pencil going in there.
Now watch this now. You notice he's a left-hand shot watching in here. He's got the whole ice. He's got the whole net. He makes a nice little move, goes around court, he puts it in. Billy didn't have much of a chance on that one.
It's a line, the all brothers in that one. Marion and Anton assisting him at 14-17.
5 minutes and 35 seconds. That is the time remaining. A long flip shot by Goulet. We're in the second period. Each team with 2 goals. It's been a fine hockey game. Much more lively than the opening game and much more competitive.
Well, you know, Michel pulled a fast one there. He snuck on the He's on a fast chase to get him away from Trottier and the big line there. And that's what he's got to do. He's got to fool around a little because Al's pretty sharp. Al's on the ball all the time.
I think that's just about the first time they were on as a line other than on the power play tonight in tonight's game. Another Quebec goal was scored by Mark Tardif in the first period for New York. Merrick in the first period, Mike Bossy in the second.
Well, there was Michel Bergeron. This guy does not fool around. He goes against power with power. He doesn't fool around. He doesn't try to put Hunter out against Trottier, which I think he will in Quebec, though. But tonight he's putting power against power.
Langevin shooting it in on the move is number 21, Brent Sutter. Taking him out of the play was Weir. Weir upended by Sutter in an accidental fashion. In on the boards. The Nordiques trying to get possession. It's Sutter chasing it, going in on the boards. Billy Carroll. And the Nordiques are going to get some skating room, and they dash into the center ice area led by the tough little guy, Hunter. Hunter tried to set up his man, Cloutier. Langevin cleared it down the ice. No icing on that, and Big Weir fires it off the boards. Sutter, however, is going to stop it. He takes a shot off Weir's stick. Everywhere Sutter goes, he finds Weir. And everywhere Weir goes, he finds Sutter. There they are again. Back to the point. McEwen is closing in for the shot, knee high. And Bouchard tucked it and held it very easily.
Live from the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, the Stanley Cup playoffs on CBC.
Run with the Wolfpack. The 1982 Evinrude Wolfpack, outboard power that ranges far and wide, from the gentle 2-horsepower Cub to the wild, big 235 Silver Wolf. Evinrude, first with many outboard innovations, providing compact, quiet, fuel-efficient power for 1982. Run with Evinrude. First in outboards, available now at your Evinrude dealer.
Well done, me. You've infiltrated the Mr. Submarine shop.
I am setting diversionary explosives.
Just find the secret sauce, me.
I am now making a delectable hot roast beef for me and an assorted cold cuts for you.
Me, the secret sauce.
Squeezing secret sauce out.
Me, that's it. Now, just grab the sauce.
What about your sub, Captain?
Blast the sub. No, wait.
Mr. Submarine, nothing goes down so good.
Now, Braun challenges your face with the perfect trial offer. Test the world's #1 foil-head shaver on your face for 30 days. If you think anything else comes close to Braun, we'll give you back your money. Braun with 30 double-tempered steel blades with a micro-thin flexible foil and a 3-year limited warranty. Braun, designed by perfectionists for perfectionists. Agree in 30 days or your money back from Braun.
Canada. It's ours.
Dave Pichette still wearing the bandage to read the injury of the chin the other night in Boston. Here's that save by Smith off Anton Stastny, who was set up by Peter. There's Mr. Hunter doing his thing.
That's all right. That's all right. That's what he does. That's the way he's got to act aggressive. That's his game. He's got to get a little more aggressive. He has not been aggressive in this series so far, and that's not his game.
Like Butch Goring might be drawing one of his infrequent penalties. For Butch, in 13 seasons, he's the grand total of 78 minutes, but he had a vicious year this year. He had 5 minor penalties.
91, Butch Goring. Well, there again, remember I noticed the league knows that the Stastnys will not shoot on a 2-on-1. And Billy Smith played it the last time in the first period, and he played it that time. And the last time, Billy Smith knew that puck was coming back into center ice because they will not shoot on a 2-on-1. What you're saying, Billy Smith is an intelligent goaltender.
Here's the play with Bourne breaking away. Pichette called a hooking from behind. Bouchard came out, dumped him from in front.
So we have Pichette off, and the Islanders with the advantage. McEwen getting it over to Pearson. In off the boards. Back it goes. Pearson. Here's Sutter trying to clear it in front. And he tried to set up his brother Dwayne, but the pass was high and hard. Now it's knocked down. Cote trying to clear it out. He struggles frantically for it. Big Gilly's going in after Captain DuPont, and it's picked up by Hickey. And he gets a whistle, and it relieves the pressure because he cleared it over the Islanders bench.
Hickey does. Hickey for the second straight season. And there you see it, played for 3 different teams. The Rangers, the Leafs, and Quebec. Last year it was the Rangers, the Rockies, and was it last year or 2 years ago? Anyway, he's had that happen to him twice.
Seems like 2. There's Al Arbor. The power play wasn't working with everybody. Throws somebody else out there. He doesn't fool around.
I asked you earlier if they win the Stanley Cup this year, which will mean 3 in a row. Will he want to go somewhere else?
I don't think so. He's making too much money, Dan.
That is always a consideration, isn't it?
Absolutely, when you spend as many years in the minors as he did.
Now the Nordiques cleared into the center ice area. A minute and 29 seconds left in the Pichette penalty. Bourne shooting it in. Over on the other side is Bossy. Potvin goes back to his position on the left point. It's back, but it's cleared out over the line. Coming down, he has the excellent speed. Goulet, but getting back there was Pearson. In on the right side, Bourne. Bourne is around the net. Trottier is getting in front. However, it's back to Pearson. On the board, cleared down the ice by Goulet. The Nordiques have looked very, very impressive here tonight. Much more impressive than they did on Tuesday.
Absolutely, they're aggressive, and that's the way they've got to be.
Now Gillies in over the line along with Bossy. Bossy has it, gets it back. Pearson firing it in the pass. This is Trottier. Behind the net to Bossy. Bossy trying to center it. Will it go back to the point? It does. It goes to Pop and to Bossy. Bossy to the side. They try to clear it in front. Bouchard is down. And he smothers it.
Back at Chicago Stadium for period 2 of game 2 of this conference final. On a goal by Glenn Sharpley late in the period, the Blackhawks in front of the Vancouver Canucks by a score of 1-0. In that first period, Richard Brodeur tested 19 times, while Murray Bannerman in goal for the Blackhawks stopped just 6 shots. A decided edge in play for the Blackhawks during the first 20 minutes. The Vancouver Canucks, as they were in game 1, without Gary Lupo and Ivan Holinka, both have been sidelined as a result of injuries picked up in the series against the Los Angeles Kings. Although other players are also out of the Vancouver Canuck lineup, the most notable being defenseman Kevin McCarthy, who suffered that broken ankle just prior to the playoffs getting underway. Keith Brown has returned tonight for the Chicago Blackhawks after being sidelined for 3 months. He suffered a broken ankle just before Christmas, and this is his return to the lineup this evening. Murray Bannerman has replaced Tony Esposito in goal tonight for the Blackhawks. And we welcome to our broadcast position and to Hockey Night in Canada as we take a look at the scoring summary. Glenn Sharpley at 18-28, 19-6 the shots on goal. Harry Neal, who was coaching the Vancouver Canucks up until that suspension in Quebec. Some are going to say Harry's probably the best thing that happened to the Vancouver Canucks this season because Roger Nielsen has done quite a job. But perhaps you could tell us what happened on this goal.
Sharpley got the puck behind the net. You can see the two defensemen there, Lindgren and Campbell, can't decide whether to take the man in front or Sharpley, and they both went to the man in front, and Sharpley hung in there long enough to put the rebound in, and it was a little mix-up by our defensemen.
Harry, one thing you guaranteed us, you would not be biased. Is that true?
I'll be biased, but I'll do my best to stop cheering if we make good plays.
Harry, you may also lead the league in one-liners and quotes during the course of the season. Feel free at any time to interject some of that humor that you're noted for.
The 19-6 against takes a lot of them away from me.
Bellin goes back into his own zone. The Canucks still with the man advantage. 1:09 remaining in the penalty to Fox. Bolin. Long shot into the corner. Rhoda tried to pick it up off the boards. Bolderev got it and got a shot away. Bannerman made the save, and Patterson brings it back. Patterson out there killing off his penalty for Chicago as it's stolen away in the center ice area. Curry was upset as he worked in across the line. The puck goes loose, comes back to Curry. Curry back to the line. Bellin moving in. He did not get good wood on it. Bannerman was sent flying. He was tied up there by Rhoda as it's cleared to center ice. 27 seconds left in the penalty. Bellin had a great chance there, but did not get good wood in that shot. Now it's Bolderev for Vancouver with Rhoda across the line. Bolderev still has it. Fires it in back of the net. Brown for Chicago with 3 seconds left in the penalty, lugging it down the ice, and the Blackhawks return to full strength. Rhoda on the wing for Smeal. Back to Bellin. Bellin has it hooked away at the line by Lysiak, and he clears it. Hallward in his own zone for Gradine. Rink-wide pass for Bellin to Smeal. He shoots it in. Lysiak is there. Puck bounces high. It goes loose along the board. Sharpley brings it out with Lysiak. Lysiak has it hooked away by Sneps. However, Hutchison, following up on the play, took the shot. It went wide. In the corner, Sharpley, the only marksman so far in tonight's game, has it kicked away. Sneps in his own zone. He's been a tower of strength for the Canucks. To Fraser, long drive wide. Gradine, unable to pick it up off the board. It slides to center ice. Bully racing in on the left side. Hallward's after him. They both go down. And as they fall, the puck slides underneath them. From Chicago Stadium, this is Stanley Cup 82 on CBC.
Come on and grip the light fantastic. Get a hold of a light and easy. It's cool to the touch. Well, thank you very much. It's got a spray and surge of steam. It self-cleans like a dream. Come on and grip the light fantastic.
The light and easy irons from CGE. Come on and grip the light fantastic.
GE, we bring good things to life.
We played 2:15 of period 2, 1-0, Chicago leading Vancouver. The series returns to Vancouver, game 3 on Saturday night. Terry, who's your best face-off man on the club?
Bucky Minor, but this face-off alignment by Chicago has given us a lot of trouble in this series where they put both forwards in front, and then we have a heck of a time getting a guy out to the point, and Ruskowski can really win draws with his backhand.
Wouldn't a play be to just fire it against the boards?
Well,
back to the line, Feimster flips it in back of the goal. Ruskowski tried to move out front. Sneps did a good job on him, and the big 6'3" defenseman moves it out to Brasser. Brasser with a shot wide. It winds up in the mesh back of the Chicago goal, and the play is whistled down. Another goal has been scored at the Nassau Coliseum. Steve Armitage, tell us about it.
Don, the Islanders have got in front 3-2 with Mike Bossy's second goal of the game. Pearson, the Potvin, setting up Bossy, who beats Bouchard with a drive between the pads. 8th of the playoffs for Bossy. The Islanders lead 3-2 after 2 periods of play.
Mike Bossy's second goal of the hockey game, and the Islanders in the lead once again. Harry, while we have a moment, what about that New York-Quebec series? What do you think will happen there?
I think the Islanders will win, but I think Quebec will be a lot tougher tonight. That first game after you win in the 7th is a very tough one to play in the next series.
Feimster rink wide to Fox. The Hawks trying to organize the attack from their own zone. Off Lysiak's stick. Sneps broke it up at center ice, but sharply shoots it in. Lysiak and Hallward go to the boards back of the goal. Gradine for Smeal, unable to get out. Now Bully in the corner. Lysiak centered it, and it's picked off by Hallward. Hallward shoots it wide. Smeal goes back to the net, tried to get it out front, but Gradine couldn't get a stick on it. Now it's Bully firing it to an open wing, picked up there by Fox. Fox in across the line, Feimster was offside.
Harry, you had mentioned prior to this series a couple of key personnel on the Blackhawks that they have to pay special attention to. Number 12, Tom Lysiak. What makes him so tough to stop?
Well, he's a big guy, and when he really gets his workmanship up, which he has been in the playoffs, he can handle the puck, he can shoot, he can make a great play, and he plays a little tough when he gets excited, and he looks excited, and he's been their best player, in my opinion, in the 2 games today.
Totally frustrated, however, by Brodeur in game 1.
Well, that's his problem, I guess, but he's not the only one that feels that way.
He had a lot of company among the members of the Los Angeles Kings. Fired in by Vancouver. Wilson to Mulvey for Ruskowski. On the wing to Preston. Drop pass. Ruskowski fired it wide. Murray winds up. His shot. Brodeur makes the toe save. Murray again keeping it in as the Hawks are applying some more pressure. Mulvey was tied up in front of the net by Nill. The puck slides back to Wilson. His shot goes off the leg. Ruskowski is tied up by Campbell. Nill in the corner. He's bodied by Mulvey. Campbell runs into the check for Preston. Loose puck in front. Back to the line. Over to Murray. Murray winds up. And the shot slides wide. Preston back at the goal for Mulvey. Ruskowski also moves in. The Hawk captain has it out front. Quick shot by Wilson. And I don't know whether that hit a player or not. Ruskowski went down. Bolderev with a backhand drive. And Bannerman gets a piece of that one. And again to the Chicago Stadium, we welcome those who have been viewing the Quebec-New New York game. 1-0 is still the score. The Blackhawks leading the Vancouver Canucks with 15:27 remaining in this second period. Richard Brodeur, as he does with almost every stoppage in play, Harry, taking a bit of escape. He indicated that's something he's been doing all season.
Yeah, he's done that for a while. It does, he relaxes them and it keeps them moving. Kind of an interesting habit.
The habit, I believe, that he developed after an injury when he was playing in the World Hockey Association with Quebec. He used to skate around to keep his leg loose. Out front, the Hawks have it, and it's just fired wide by Moline. What a great chance by Moline, as that puck came up front, and Moline had an open net and fired it wide. Williams with a long drive, gloved by Bannerman. Now it's Vancouver's turn to apply some pressure, although Savard breaks out. Savard with Higgins. Started to wind up, and Miner checked the puck away from him.
The fans are yelling, but Harry, that was a pretty good defensive play by Miner. Come back and strip the puck from Savard.
It sure was, and Savard's got to realize that he's a superstar, and he's going to get that kind of attention.
Bellin back in his own zone for Smeal. Racing in after it is Feimster. Played up along the boards. Kept in by Smeal, and off his stick into the center ice area. Savard is not trying. Long drive, and the save by Bannerman off Eldebrink as the fans react with Savard being dumped in the center ice area. Now Fox for Savard. To Secor. Slap shot. It's off the glass wide. Racing back is Smeal for Gradine. He runs into the check from Secor. It goes loose in the corner. Fraser tried to center it. It's cleared by Bannerman. It goes to the other side. Wilson along the boards and down the ice. 13:32 is the time remaining in period 2. 1-0. The Blackhawks in front. Back to the line. Murray with a shot. That was just wide. Penalty coming up as Ted Bully was upended by Thomas Gradine.
Thomas Gradine, with 20 feet out, takes Bully out of the play, and referee Bob Meyer is signaling him to the penalty box. The power play of the Blackhawks, you know, when they start moving the puck around, it seems the guys that they try to feed, Wilson, there he saw it again right in front of the net. Harry, you talked about the Blackhawks power play. Do you play Wilson a little closer, the top man, that right-handed forward?
We sure
get that shot away?
We sure do when Savard and Lysiak are out there. Now they've got Ruskowski's line, and Wilson's not even on, but they want to... Wilson, we can't let him take a step off the blue line and shoot it, and to do that, we give up a little inside. We know that.
Rasser moves into the circle against Ruskowski. It's cleared down the ice by Nil. Gardner is back playing the point on the power play. Crossman not dressed tonight for Chicago. He had been playing the point in Game 1. Ruskowski, he's checked by Nil. The puck goes loose. Gardner in across the line for Preston. Preston gives it back to Gardner. To Preston. The Hawks trying to set something up. Over to Keith Brown. Brown slaps it. Knocked down in front of the net. Another drive. That's deflected high. And it's cleared off the glass and down the ice.
Well, one thing that the Blackhawks are still doing, they're setting up more people in front of Brodeur, but he still seems to be able to find that puck through the screen.
Yeah, they're putting 2 men in front tonight instead of the 1.
Gardner working to the corner. Savard also races in. The puck is loose, and it's kept in. Secord managed to keep it in. Now Gardner over to Secord. Secord back to the point for Brown. Brown slaps it. It hit the side of the net. Savard out front. Gardner fanned on his shot. Eldebrink covering up on the play, and the puck is underneath him.
Harry, you're making a lot
lot of notes out here. Exactly what are you looking for? Is it from the Vancouver standpoint?
No, I keep notes on us and on Chicago, and then I give Roger a little tally at the end of every game of some things that I've noticed that might be of some value to us, and we kind of build a file up. And I don't know what Roger takes off the information, but here's a good shot by Brown, and they're going to score if they keep getting these kind of shots on us.
Well, in that first period, the Blackhawk defense registered 9 shots on net. Is that a case of the forwards giving that shot from the point, Harry?
I think it is, but I think you can give it, but you don't have to present it to him.
Back to Wilson. He winds up and fires it wide. Murray over to the other side. 35 seconds remaining in the penalty. Murray shoots. It's wide. Savard from the corner. Savard controlling it for Chicago. Back to the line. Over to Murray. Murray slaps it. The save is made by Brodeur. Kept in by Wilson for Savard. 15 seconds left in the penalty. Wilson with a drive. It's dropped at last. What a rocket he lets go from that point. And it's cleared by Vancouver. The penalty will expire.
Well, just as you had indicated, what they were doing is putting Lysiak in that slot area. Then you have to pay attention to him, and that allowed Wilson that open shot.
He's got a rocket, too.
Brodeur taken in against the boards. Wilson for Chicago to Secord. 11 minutes remaining in the second period. Secord has it knocked away by Campbell. The two of them bump. Lysiak gets it. Lysiak over for Fox. He shoots it wide. Campbell picks it up. And he brings it out for Vancouver. Brodeur really came out that time to challenge Fox.
Yeah, Richard's theory is if you can make a perfect shot, you might get a goal. But if you're a little off, I'm going to stop it or it's going wide.
In other words, you have to beat Brodeur to his strength.
That's
if you've
right.
got it there, you deserve the goal.
Now Nil and Secord have sticks up. And it appears as though both are going to be going off.
But Harry, I think everybody was relieved that Fox took the shot rather than Lysiak.
Oh, boy, you're right.
Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Chicago Stadium.
Ford and its dealers announce cash rebates on new light trucks. $200 on Courier, $300 on Ranger, $750 on conventional pickups, Econoline vans, and on 4x4s. These are cash rebates. You get a check direct from Ford. Up to $1,000 on club wagons, and up to $2,000 on Bronco. Cash rebates on Ford light trucks, and now's the time to get them. Details at participating Ford and Mercury dealers.
Look to the center of your screen. Jim Nil and Secord. Secord through the elbow, and then the sticks come up, and both will draw penalties.
Well, they're a pair of tough guys, Secord and Nil, and neither one of them want to back down from each other.
Now, that's the third penalty for Secord in the hockey game. Any special people that you would like against him? I guess if you're going to have somebody, toughness against toughness.
Yeah, I don't think we should bother Secord much. I don't think you're going to get anywhere doing it. There are other players in the team that you might get somewhere doing it. It's like bothering Williams. You know, you may be playing into his strength.
Puck loose in the Chicago zone. Sharpley, who has scored the game's only goal, fighting for it along the boards with Smeal. Brodeur also moves in. Finally, it's kicked into the corner for Fox. Fox for Sharpley. On the left side, Lysiak. Lysiak moving into the slot, dropping it back. Feimster back to Lysiak. A shot. Brodeur has got it.
Harry, when did you realize that he was going to be your #1 goaltender? Richard Brodeur.
He certainly showed signs of that last year, but this year he's even been better. And we played Hanlon and Brodeur half each until Christmas, and then it was fairly clear that Richard was a better goaltender.
Well, I'm amazed how he's able to pick that puck up through the screen when it's set up. He always manages to get a toe or a glove or something on it. Oh, there you are, Harry. All the people back home can see it. That you're in good hands.
Well, there was a good example there of a good play by Chicago. It was a 2-on-2, and they crossed over. And our guys were a little hesitant, and the third guy showed up, and he had all kinds of room.
We're on the second deck at Chicago Stadium, our broadcast position, which we share with our CBC French confrères. Gradine circling in the corner. He goes rink wide. 1:16 remaining in the penalties to nil, and Secord lead pass for Gradine. It was offside.
Harry, are the Canucks not skating as well as they were in Game 1, or is it the way the Blackhawks are playing tonight's contest?
I think it's a little of both. We're not as sharp as we've been, and they're desperate. I mean, if they lose tonight, they're in deep trouble, and they know it, and they're a good team, and they're reacting to that problem.
Harry, what's the reason for the turnaround? The Canucks only winning 10 games on the road during regular season play. You've already won 4 in the playoffs.
Well, we won 3 games. We went on a road trip and went 3 without a loss to start this whole thing off, and I guess winning becomes a habit, and so does losing, and we're in the winning one now.
Yes, indeed. The Canucks have certainly put together a string.
What do they say?
Just once in the playoffs.
Winning breeds confidence.
Murray for Bully. 9:40 remaining in the period, and what a save again by Brodeur. That quick glove hand, he snaked it out and grabbed that shot by Bully. This is Hockey Night in Canada from Chicago Stadium.
Sunshine and bright, this is the life. Hey, what a day. Hey, what a day. Riding the rain, taking it easy. Hey, what a great day. Break away with the safe that's clean and clear. Molson Canadian, the great Canadian. Break away.
55 seconds left in the penalties to nil, and Secord, 9:35 in the period. Again, Wilson moves to the top of that face-off circle as Savard goes in for the draw against Minor.
See, we have to get somebody out through to Wilson here, and this is tough on a 4-on-4 because we don't have that extra forward to use.
Now that winger has to cheat a little bit, kind of anticipate that draw. Well, now they've shifted around a little.
They threw Savard and Minor out.
Minor in across the line. A shot. Bannerman kicks it to the corner. Lindgren was unable to pick it up. Back to Minor. His drive handled by Bannerman. It's put down the ice too far for Secord, or Savard. And as Minor touches it, icing is called against Chicago.
Harry, you talked about Savard being a key to this Blackhawk Hockey Club. What did you talk about how to defend him?
We don't want him to get the puck in full flight and be able to skate through the center zone with it. And as a result, we've had usually a winger coming over and getting as close to him as they can. So we discourage them from passing the puck to him. And if he gets it, he at least has to beat that man in a hurry, and that takes away a 60-foot run at our defense.
Well, how would you rate what your club did to him in Game 1?
Excellent, and we're doing a good job tonight. He's getting a little frustrated, Savard. He's complaining at the referees, and he's taking a few hacks at our players. And he's a tough man to handle, but he's going to have to beat 19 guys that know exactly how good he is.
You know, you have to be awfully pleased with the work that Minor has done. And in fact, tonight he's spending a lot of time against Savard. It's just a gutty performance from a kid that hasn't played much, 13 games all season.
Oh, but you know, he was on our fitness test at the training camp. He was the top on our team. He's a very well-conditioned young athlete.
Back to the line for Campbell. To Hallward. Hallward almost lost it there to Lysiak. Gradine comes out to help out. It goes back at the net. Lysiak flips it over on the wing. Clock circles to the other side for Feimster. Feimster gets away from Gradine. Works to the corner, tried to center it. It went off Gradine. Back at the goal. Sharply laid it around the boards for Lysiak. He's tied up by Hallward. The puck comes up along the boards for Feimster. The team's back at full strength. Now Lysiak bumps in the corner, gets it to Sharply, back to the line for Feimster. Slap shot, score! Now for the first time in the series of the Canucks and the Blackhawks, a 2-goal difference as Feimster from the top of the circle, again a straight shot to the glove side.
But Harry, it seemed that play started inside the Blackhawk zone. Gradine had a chance to take Feimster and skated by him, then allowed Feimster to come out of his own zone.
We got caught on a 4-on-4 with 3 guys deep and only 1 man covering the point, and he couldn't get over in time.
the net. It's his point man.
And when you give a defenseman who can shoot it like Feimster can shoot it all the time, sooner or later he's going to put it in. You saw in the overtime last night where the Blackhawks got a draw, and he really fired one, but it just missed the net. Fired into the Chicago zone, 8:15 remaining in the period. 2-0 now, the Blackhawks in front. They force the face-off. And we'll remind you with the score. Chicago 2, Vancouver nothing. This is Vancouver.
We've been telling you that you can get a lot more at Canadian Tire than tires. Like Daiwa fishing gear. Sure, a sporting goods store might have Daiwa.
But only Canadian Tire has these Daiwa Silver Series rods and reels for just $11.99 each this week. Motormaster wiper blades by Trico. You might find blades at a gas station, but Canadian Tire has the safety of Trico for 25% off our regular low price.
So you could go to other stores or come to Canadian Tire. It's your choice. After all, it's your money.
There's a lot more to Canadian Tire than tires.
Sharpley and Lysiak drawing assists on the goal by Dave Feimster. 8:08 is the time left in the period. Roger Nielsen attempting to make a line change. Those late line changes by Roger?
That was after a false face-off, and you can't make the change.
Roger obviously doesn't agree.
Believe that, doesn't he?
Harry, was there any thought at all when your suspension ended of making a coaching change?
Oh, no, we were going so well that I wasn't going to come back and screw things up, that's for sure.
Brought out by Higgins. He flips it in. Racing into the corner is Bellin. Secord manages to pick it off along the boards for Higgins. Back to Secord. Shot! Drive. Now it's Rhoda. Flipping it in. Strange bounce. It went right in front of the goal. However, the Blackhawks box is there to cover up. Now Savard comes out. The fans react. Every time he carries the puck, he tried to cut in front of the goal. Bellin poked it away from him. 7:30 is the time left in the period. 2-0. The Blackhawks in front. And this produces an icing call against Vancouver. The Harrier Club seems to be giving up that blue line a lot. Not really standing up as well as they were in Game 1.
And you know, when your confidence slips or you're a little off your game, little things like that, turnaways in the center zone, backing off the blue line, not doing a real job without the puck on people in your own zone. You can get away with it for a while, but to be honest, Chicago's a very worthy 2-0 leader in this hockey game, and our team better get going or it's going to be more.
Well, they've forced the issue right from the opening face-off. Relentless pressure, and Brodeur has had a busy night. And as a result, the Blackhawks lead 2-0. Skowski against Minor.
Here's that face-off alignment that really caused problems for us the last game.
Now, that's what I thought he would do, is put a left-handed shot in there, just fired against the boards, and then it would give you good control, as happened on that play. Alderbrink, the lead pass for Minor. In back of the goal. The Hawks play it up along the boards. Ruskowski comes out with Preston. Ruskowski shoots it in. Alderbrink, he's bodied by Mulvey. Williams along the board, trying to get away from Ruskowski. It's dumped to center ice, and Minor fires it into the Blackhawk zone. Alderbrink off the boards, a drive that goes wide. It ricochets all the way back to center ice. Lindgren has to go back and try and get organized. The pass in across the line. Feeding for Williams, and Williams couldn't control it as Bannerman came out to make the save. Now Smeel with the drive. It's wide. Williams at the side of the net. He falls, and they wind up on top of the puck, forcing the faceoff. That's the first good bit of pressure that the Canucks have had all night. They're really forcing the issue and some good scoring chances.
Right, and our team has to go at these guys a little bit. You know, their defense isn't above giving the puck away in their own zone if we force them, but this is the first time in a long, long time we've been down 2 goals, and we're playing like we're up 2. We've got to gamble a little bit.
Hockey Night in Canada will continue in a moment.
A town can die if it ain't got protection. Well, the folks around here wouldn't buy that. So I went ahead and bought my own. Res Woodston. Res protection lasts because Res grinds its color so fine that it gets right into the wood and sticks there. Buy Res protection, I said. But they wouldn't listen. And where are they now?
6:26 left in the second period. Back to the line for Campbell. His shot knocked down by Sharpley. Sharpley has figured in both goals tonight. It's cleared. The Vancouver Canucks bring it in, led by Fraser. Murray races into the corner behind the goal, up along the boards for Sharpley. Rink wide for Bully. Bully couldn't go anywhere with it. Now Lysiak carries it in. Back of the net, Hallward trying to dump it out for Vancouver and succeeds in doing so. In the neutral zone, Gradine and Sharpley fight for it along the boards. It's kicked free. It goes back to Wilson, over to Murray. To Bully, across the line, looking for Lysiak. It comes loose to Sharpley. Sharpley for Lysiak. Lysiak tried to feed it back to the line. It's picked off by Smeal with Gradine. Gradine over to Fraser, a drive, and the glove save by Bannerman.
There's a good chance for us, and a nice play by Gradine. And Kurt Fraser, who's going to be already is a good player, and I think going to be a real good one in this league. He's got a habit of shooting 3-foot-high shots that are playing right into both hands of the goaltender. And if that one had been up or down, and the goaltender had to stop him with his feet or his shoulders, you know, there might have been a rebound. But those 3-footers, they catch most of them.
Yeah, most goaltenders are very adept at catching that puck, so why not make them work a little bit with that pad with the possibility of a rebound? Perry, you made a good point before about the hits and how your club has to continue.
We have to look at every takeout's an investment in a 7-game series, and if it goes that long, it may be the difference.
Well, the Canucks have certainly not let up in their hitting in this game, even though they trail by a 2-0 score. 5:23 left in the second period.
I was just mentioning that Fred Shiro, when he coached the Flyers, he said, you know, you can never make a game easy for the opposition, regardless of what the score is in playoff competition. You keep going after them, make them earn it, tire them out. And as Harry said, because if it goes 7 games, in that 7th game, it may be the difference.
Boldarev across the line. Boldarev flipping it in for Rhoda. Rhoda out front, and Boldarev couldn't get a shot away as Savard comes back. Savard still controlling it. Moving into the slot. His shot hit a skate. It's loose in front of the net. Secord gets it, and Brochure again from the slot. Grabs it and hangs on.
Harry with Savard, once he gets over the blue line into your zone, it seems that nobody really forces him to make a play. They're watching him, and, you know, it's very difficult for a winger to watch his wing, you know, inside your zone. Now, look at all the time Savard gets.
Well, he petrifies you with his speed, and he can stop on a dime, and he starts hitting wide, and you think I better get taking a hike to cut him off, and he stops, and he's always going to have a 2-step advantage on you there, and then he can make a good play coming in, and if you know, we're a little tentative to go straight at him because he might make you look like a fool.
And nobody wants to be made look like a fool.
Wiskowski against Miner in the face-off circle.
Looks like we've done a little bit to solve that face-off problem now, as you say. We're going to the boards with it now.
Miner managed to get it to the boards to Bellin.
Well, especially since the Blackhawks did not put anybody against the boards, and then you gain good control. Now we're going to see it again, Harry, what you had talked about.
See, Miner goes to the boards with it there, beats Wiskowski to it, and then we put a man on the boards, and we're out.
Mellon shoots it in. 4:45 left in the period. Now it's brought out by Mulvey. Fox, drop pass for Preston. From a bad angle to save by Brodeur. He simply stood his ground, and the Vancouver Canucks bring it out to the neutral zone. Preston is spun around, manages to get it loose. Penalty coming up against the Vancouver Canucks. As Bellin touches it, play is whistled down. Live from Chicago Stadium, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Third down 10, who's gonna win? Hey, what a game.
if you were upset with Tiger taking a penalty between the two blue lines or figuring that there was a dive.
Well, that was a penalty, all right. He was 100 feet, 5 guys to feet to get to the goal, and I don't know that it was a play that took a chance away.
Back to the line. Murray slaps it. Roger hangs on with Secord cutting in front of the net.
Now, you see, in this power play here, they got the big one out there, and they have Lysiak and Savard who play over on the hash marks, and then they've got Wilson with the big shot. And if Wilson gets it, you take the shot away, they stick it into Lysiak or Savard. And then that gives them at least a one-step into the play, and they look at the cross pass, or they may go to the net. Or if we take that play away, then they get it back to Wilson if he gets the shot. I mean, they got a good group out here.
Knepp tried to clear it, kept in by Murray. Knepp gets it again in the corner. Lysiak also comes in, so does Secord. Secord's got the puck. Penalty coming up against Tom Lysiak. Another goal has been scored. And Nassau Coliseum, bring us up to date, please, Steve Armitage.
It's now 4-2 New York in the third period. Wayne Merrick gets it along the boards and passes to Bob Bourne, and he beats Bouchard to the left. For Bourne, his 6th goal of the playoffs, and for the Islanders, a 2-goal margin at 3:46 of the third.
Well, Tom Lysiak negates the man advantage situation, drawing a holding penalty with 19 seconds gone in the penalty to Tiger Williams. That penalty coming at the 16-minute mark of the second period. 4-2, the Islanders in front. 2-0, the Blackhawks in front. Well, Eldebrink flips the shot. Vanderman handled that one and flipped it off. Comes back to the line. Lindgren. And apparently he brought it out across the line. And that's the reason for the whistle. And again, it's very difficult to hear the whistles in this very noisy Chicago stadium. But it's an offside call against Vancouver.
I suspect Roger wants to be sure that we prevent them from getting a goal when they've got Savard out on the 4-on-4. If they put 2 other players, I think you'll see us come up with Gerdine or Bolderov and go after the goal. We've been very good on 4-on-4 situations in the playoffs.
Well, it's always dangerous, especially with a guy like Savard out there in that situation, because he can go through everybody and score. Lindgren intercepts the centering pass, and Eldebrink starts out. Eldebrink drops it. Here's a chance. Miner, a backhand shot, and Vanderman came well out of his goal to make the save. Miner is knocked down by Wilson. Lars Moline tried to center it. It's picked off by Secord. His pass to Savard. He overskated it. The Canucks come back with Miner flipping it in. Vancouver making a change as Chicago's Savard moves it to center ice. Couldn't control it there. The Canucks back in their own zone. Howard being bothered by Savard. 27 seconds left in the penalty to Tiger Williams. Rhoda across the line. Back to the point. Howard moving in. Shot. Save. Again, Bannerman way out of the net. Now Bolderev trying to feed it in front. Rhoda was going for the goal. Here's a chance for Savard. Savard in across the line between his legs for Patterson. Patterson was tied up and taken in against the end board.
Good job by Bolderev to come and pick up that trailer.
Bolderev comes back for Vancouver. Takes the shot wide. Campbell trying to feed it in front. And Bannerman goes down and hangs onto the puck.
Now there's a good example. As good a hockey player as Savard is, he stayed out for a minute and 50 seconds. And then he got a chance with about 20 seconds left in too long of a shift. And he didn't have any legs, and he made a back pass that backfired, and he was caught 190 feet from his own goal. He's got to get off the ice on a 4-on-4 when he's tired, because the turnover means that the rink tilts, you know, and it's a terrible hill to climb without the puck.
Harry, isn't amazing, though, when guys are dead tired, when they got a chance to go one more rush offensively, they're able to do it, and then come off as soon as possible when the play is going into their zone.
Yeah, and those legs just won't work without the puck.
Now we'll see some pressure by the Canucks as there's quite a collision in front of Bannerman. In fact, Darcy Rhoda knocked Bannerman to the seat of his pants. Drive from the line by Belland, and Bannerman was out of the net to make the save. Here's another drive. Knocked down in front. The puck loose, and it's cleared by Chicago as they return to full strength. Radin in across the line. He's taken out of the play by Feimster. Lysiak dumps it out. A race for the loose puck. Schneps manages to get back to hook it away from Gardner. It's deflected into the center ice area. Fraser tried to go rink wide with it. Smeel manages to pick it up. Smeel with a shot. That's gloved by Bannerman. He holds it for a face-off with 1:27 left in the period. This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Chicago Stadium.
These men have just brought the 1982 Lawn Boy Supreme, designed to last up to 50% longer than most other mower engines. An incredible 5-in-1 mower. Watch number 1 turn his lawn boy into a leaf shredder. Number 2, a rear bagger. Number 3 is going to mulch his grass. Number 4 will use his lawn boy as a side bagger. And number 5 will use his with no attachments at all. Lawn Boy, the 5-in-1 mower that keeps on going. As time goes by, you'll know why.
Radin into the circle against Lysiak. The Hawks gain possession. Sharply shooting it into the Vancouver zone. Roger plays it back at the net for Schneps. Trying to get away from Sharply. It's dumped up along the boards, and racing back for Chicago is Wilson. Rink wide for Lysiak. Lysiak's pass knocked down in the center ice area by Fraser. We move into the final minute of this second period. Fraser taken in against the boards by Wilson. Still manages to get it free. Back to the line. Belland with a drive. Knocked down by Bannerman, and he hangs on. And there's some shoving going on in front of that Chicago goal as the Canucks attempt to get at that puck. And the Hawk defenders try to prevent them from doing that. But Murray Bannerman has the puck.
Been sharp. He's stopped 3 or 4 good screen shots this period.
He's come out to challenge the shooters on occasion, too.
Our man in front, in this case Fraser, has got to try and get in between Bannerman and the shot so Bannerman can't come out. And then he loses maybe an inch or 2 on each side of an angle that he would have had to cut down. Although you can't stand and do what you want there, Gary. You know that.
Absolutely. The Blackhawk defensemen have something to say about that.
You never did any interfering with the goaltender, did you?
Not very often, but you know, a good play, Harry, that we used to do a lot is if a defenseman tries to take you out, let him, and you try to fall right against the goaltender. You know, when Fraser gets in front there, you see the defense just fall against the goaltender.
Williams is very good at that, and you know, the referees never call it. You're being shoved.
And of course, when you're sitting on him, just make sure you're very slow in getting up.
Fox goes back after it with 38 seconds left in the period. Lead pass. Savard couldn't control it, and Lindgren wins the race to the puck. Now Bolderev at the line. Knocked off the puck by Fox. The Canucks attempting to regroup. It's played in. Bolderev working to the corner. Feeding it across. At the side of the goal. Williams unable to get a stick on it. It goes loose in the Chicago zone. And finally, Savard brings it out. Savard has it taken away. Lindgren up along the boards. And that will end the second period.
Harry, what can we expect from the Canucks in the third period?
I think we have to come after him a little bit in the offensive zone. And like you saw in the last shift there, we kept the puck in. And Chicago had some people who were leaving the zone without the puck. And we can't sit on a 2-0 deficit and hope that they're going to shoot a couple of their own net. The thing is that being down 2-0 after being fairly well outplayed, you're not in a position that you can't come back by. So
we're still in the game.
2-0 is the score here at Chicago Stadium, but let's find out more from the Long Island.
In the land of Dairy Queen, treat you right.
At Mutual Life, most of us learn about being a parent the same way you do, firsthand. So we understand your hopes for tomorrow, because we share them.
And when you go to buy life insurance for yourself, we know who you're really thinking of, because we know what you know.
Life is a mutual
You know what? I've got a reason to switch to Bank of Montreal. I had a regular savings account, but I usually make my deposits somewhere in the middle of the month. So I couldn't earn interest in that money until the start of the next month. Then it was paid only twice a year. So I'm switching to a Bank of Montreal daily interest savings account. Earns me interest the day I make a deposit and every day after. And pays it to me every month. That's 12 times a year. You do have a reason to switch to Bank of Montreal's daily interest savings account.
CBC News with George McLean.
Good evening. Here's a summary of tonight's top stories. With Britain's air and sea blockade of the Falkland Islands set to start at dawn tomorrow, Argentina has now imposed a blockade of its own. Argentina says it will attack any British ship within 200 miles of the Falklands. Ottawa and Alberta have come up with another plan to save the Owl Sands project. The two governments plan to offer investors generous tax breaks. The remaining members of the consortium must decide by tomorrow if they're still in. Ronald Reagan made a television appeal tonight to get public support for his budget. Reagan called on Americans to urge their representatives to vote for a compromise that would help ease the deficit. El Salvador has a new president. A month after the country's general election, the Assembly today chose Alvaro Magana. Magana's an American-educated banker, considered a political independent. Now back to hockey night in Canada.
If they can hang in this game, perhaps win it, but Chicago looks awfully good tonight. If they get the next goal, they can probably even this series at 1 game apiece. 2 goals so far, Sharpley in the first, Feemster in the second. Canada defeated Sweden 6-0 overseas today. They're finally getting rolling over there, and they get the bronze medal because the Czechs and the Soviets fought to a scoreless tie. Canada gets the bronze. Next year, there will be a New Year's Eve game at the Montreal Forum, and the World Hockey Championships will start 4 days later next year, which gives Canada a better chance, perhaps, to get a better team together. You wanted a little more explanation about the New Year's Eve game. Well, there will be a tour of 1 or 2 Soviet teams to Canada playing several NHL cities, and one of the big games will be at the Montreal Forum, and you remember the big New Year's Eve game they had there a few years back. 10 years ago, this September, Paul Henderson was everybody's hockey hero, and he's the subject of Bobby Orr's hockey legend coming right up when Hockey Night in Canada continues in just a moment.
This is the sign of Canada's own energy. It's a sign of exploration for oil and gas along the ocean shelf. It's the sign of oil sands development. The sign of conventional oil production. It's the sign of Canada's own oil company. Petro-Canada. It's your oil company? Why not make it your service station, too?
Varathane. It's the clear wood finish made only by the Flecto Company for over 20 years. Varathane helps protect fine furniture, cabinets, floors, all your woodwork, and leaves a natural, long-lasting, professional finish. Plus, you get a choice. Original Varathane or easy-to-use Varathane 2 that cleans up with water. Either way, your wood never had it so good. Remember, Varathane or Varathane 2, only by Flecto.
Flecto, when you want to do it right.
In 1972, he shook an entire country with his last-minute heroics. Paul Henderson visited Bobby Orr at the Half Moon Club in Jamaica to retell the story. Bobby Orr and the Hockey Legends is brought to you by the legend of quality and freshness, Planters Nuts. Tonight, the legend of Paul Henderson.
It's my pleasure to announce our selection of Canada's all-peanut team. For crunch, Mr. Peanut from Planters. For freshness, Mr. Peanut from Planters. For variety, Mr. Peanut from Planters. For taste, Mr. Peanut from Planters.
Can you believe this? 9 years with the Bruins, surrounded by a bunch of animals. They're all a bunch of nuts.
Planters, Canada's all-peanut team.
I sure hope Grapes doesn't see this.
Paul, you scored the most historic goal in hockey history. What first came to your mind when that puck went in the net?
Immediate elation, for sure. And the next thought was that I had wished that my father had been alive to see it. He was the motivating factor about me being a hockey player, always wanted me to be a hockey player, was there to encourage me, and I think he would have enjoyed it every bit as much as I had.
You're from Lucknow, Ontario, a very small town, kind of out of the way. What did you do to attract the attention of the NHL scouts?
I scored 18 goals in a game, a juvenile hockey game, and of course my name got into the papers, and I guess they sort of took the attitude of anybody can score 18 goals, we'll take a look at them.
You turned pro with the Detroit Red Wings, but we were almost teammates in Boston.
One of the big frustrations of my hockey career was not winning the Stanley Cup, and as I look back, I probably would have had a better shot at winning it with you guys. Really was, but I was going to Niagara Falls Camp, which was Boston's farm team, and was all set to go, and Jim Skinner from Detroit said, listen, I know you're going there, but our camp starts a couple of days earlier. Why don't you drop in and get a couple of days skating? I stopped, got 2 days of skating, and they said, Paul, you've made the team.
And the unlikely hero began his odyssey with the Detroit Red Wing organization, where he established a reputation as a fast, hard-working, gentlemanly hockey player with great potential. Paired with line mates Bruce McGregor and Norm Ullman, he was a prized young player. His pro debut, however, was uncharacteristic.
Great shot, Paul.
Thank you, buddy.
It's obvious you spent a lot of time on the courts.
Yeah, thank you.
Your first shift in the NHL was a very memorable one, but not for the right reasons.
Yeah, that's right. I'd been off skates for about 3 weeks, and Floyd Smith got hurt, so they really needed a right winger in a bad way, and they called me up from Lucknow. And I wanted to impress a few people, and I went out, and can you believe it, I got in a fight with Dick Duff my first shift in the ice. I remember it very well.
Your second year in the league, you scored 22 goals. How many 20-goal scorers were there in the league that year?
If you can believe it, there was 18 guys that scored 20 goals. I think there was 3 guys that scored more than 30 goals. So that's how much Gretzky gets that many in a week.
In 1968, it was written that Paul Henderson and Doug Barkley were untouchable in Detroit. All of a sudden, you're involved in one of the biggest trades in NHL history. How did you feel when you heard about the trade?
I couldn't believe it. I was so upset at the time. I really believed that I'd been betrayed, because I really loved Detroit at that time, and I really thought that I was going to be there. But as it turned out, it was really good that I was traded.
In Toronto, with line mates Norm Ullman and Floyd Smith, Paul was a solid performer who, on occasion, flirted with greatness. In 1972, at the last possible moment, Henderson was invited to try out for Team Canada as a last... minute replacement for Bobby Hull. His appointment with destiny was drawing near. He scored winning goals in games 6 and 7 in Moscow, and in game number 8, hockey immortality.
Tell us about the unusual circumstances leading up to the big goal.
Really unusual, Bobby. I really felt that I could score a goal. I was sitting there and looked up, there was less than a minute to go, and I started yelling at Peter Mahovlich to come off the ice. Harry didn't tell me to go or anything, and the unusual part about it, Peter did come off. Went in, saw Brad Park get the puck at the far point, yelled at him, head to the net. I was tripped, crashed into the boards, got up, started to come out, and I saw Espo intercept the pass. Yelled at Espo, he got it to me, shot once, got the rebound, and it was all over.
Good goal. The series ends, the pressure starts to mount, and you go through periods of confusion and depression.
Boy, I sure did, Bobby. I'd gone from the point where just the greatest time of my life, just a tremendous high. Well, you know, I mean, it was, had I been an all-star, maybe it wouldn't have affected me, but I don't think anybody expected me to do what I did, and especially not myself. And then come back and really did not play well for the next 2 or 3 months. And boy, going from that tremendous high to just being not even a good hockey player in the NHL, very depressing.
10 years later, your thoughts about the series?
Boy, I look back, I probably get more satisfaction out of it now than I did. I mean, it's just, I guess it really satisfied a lot of desires I had. Proved to me, myself, that I could play with the best. And another part of it was, got to come down here. Well,
Moscow, September 28th. 1972. 1926 of the third period. Paul Henderson becomes a hockey legend.
Lanterns nuts are crunchy, delicious, tasty, munchy. Every day they're roasted, crunchy, golden toasted. Lanterns nuts, they taste fine, absolutely divine. For the very best nuts, look for the red dress nuts. Lanterns are real class act.
Bobby Orr and the Hockey Legends has been brought to you by the legend of quality and freshness, Planters Nuts.
In the 100 years or more that men have been playing this great game of hockey, if they were asked to list the most memorable, the most dramatic goal ever scored, I'm sure Paul Henderson's would be right up there at the top. We'll return with the Stanley Cup playoffs in just a moment.
I brought you my mule. Huh? Say you guys, so you best look after Daisy real good. Jesse.
Good, real professional.
Fast. Diamonds. I ain't never seen a muffler like that.
Ain't no muffler like that. It's a Midas muffler. Guaranteed for as long as you own your car. Good as gold.
Gold. Gold. Ah, gold. Ah, yes, gold.
Jesse finally struck it rich.
Gold.
I'm Jackie Stewart with the Blue Poly Special. Special because it's protected with Blue Poly, the one-step polysealant that cleans, shines, and seals. Think salt spray stuff? How about rock salt and alkali? Acid rain? How about battery acid? Hot sun? How about a blazing inferno? Look, nothing penetrating. Blue Poly seals in the shine, seals out the elements. Guaranteed to protect 2 years or your money back from Blue Coral.
106, 107, 108, 109.
Well, about time to go for gold. And depends. What time is it? I don't know. It's time.
I came here to develop my solar plexus.
Oh, don't say you fell asleep before.
Is he meditating? No, I was just thinking about it.
They say too much exercise isn't good for you.
Yeah, you really should watch it.
You know, I spent $3,000 for this body.
It's tough to get your money's worth these days, isn't it?
Yeah. 5 days a week I work out.
Out where?
Out there. I'm the gardener.
How long have you been playing?
Oh, about 4 years.
Gee, you must be tired.
Smooth. The point of this exercise? When it's a good, smooth golden, go for it.
Here at the Chicago Stadium, 20 minutes to play in regulation time, and the Blackhawks have had a decided edge over the Vancouver Canucks in Game 2 of this series. The Hawks opened the scoring in the first period. Glenn Sharpley from Murray and Bully at 18:28. Then Feimster, he's played well for Chicago this season, from Sharpley and Lysiak at 11:35, and quite an edge in shots on goal along the way as well for Chicago. So it's 2-0 Blackhawks. 20 minutes to go in regular time. Let's go upstairs now to Don Whitman and Gary Dornhoff.
Thank you, Brian, and it was Dave Feimster who provided the Chicago Blackhawks with their second goal, with Sharpley and Lysiak drawing assists. And Feimster, a sixth-round selection in '78, has certainly logged a lot of ice time since being called up partway through the season.
Well, Feimster certainly knows how to shoot that puck. He has a good shot, but look at all the time. He takes all day to unload that slap shot. Brodeur partially screened, catches inside the post, and that goal gave the Blackhawks a 2-0 lead. Harry Neal, after he left, wanted us to apologize to any Chicago viewers for using the term we, us, referring to the Vancouver Canucks, and I'm sure that we all understand that Harry bleeds black and orange and yellow. But a lot of interesting comments from former coach Harry Neal, and next year will be general manager of the Canucks.
Vancouver Canucks on the ice first, and now the Chicago Blackhawks get up. And Murray Bannerman playing some strong goals tonight for the Blackhawks. He, in the first series against Minnesota, according to all reports, was the big difference in Chicago winning, particularly in the first two games. He played very, very well against St. Louis. An interesting story in the game in St. Louis, the second game of the series, he was in goal. He had really been playing well. It was very hot in St. Louis. At the Checker Dome, they said that the temperature was about 85 to 90 degrees in the ice. About 9 minutes into the third period, Bannerman collapsed after stopping about 4 shots in a row. He had to be helped off the ice. He lost 20 pounds during the course of that game, Cliff Corll, the assistant coach, was telling me tonight. And he was completely dehydrated because of the heat, but he has certainly recovered and come back to do a superb job.
Well, the Vancouver Canucks registered 15 shots in that second period, but it didn't seem like they controlled the play. The Blackhawks still control the majority and had most of the good scoring opportunities. The Islanders defeated the Nordiques by a score of 5-2 and take a 2-0 lead. That's exactly the way Quebec started in the last series against the Boston Bruins, and they fought back, so it's back to the Colisée in Quebec for the next 2 games.
Both semifinals will continue on Saturday night. This series will shift to the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver. The Islanders and Nordiques travel to Le Colisée in Quebec City. We advise you to check your local listings for the game to be televised in your area. The Hawks move out of their own zone. Lead pass too far for Sharpley. Roger plays it up along the boards, kept in by Feimster. Sharpley is taken out of the play in the corner. Aldebrink races after it, and he plays it down the ice. This will produce an icing call as Fox goes back to touch it.
Now, Harry Neal had talked about what the Vancouver Canucks have to do in this third period. Basically put a lot more pressure on Chicago. They're not skating the way they did in Game 1, and they're just a little more effort, and might be able to get us a few goals. The thing is, at 2-0, they're still in the hockey game, but they have to apply more pressure. Late in that second period, Don, we certainly noticed that the effort was there, and had it not been for Bannerman, they might have crept to within 1.
The line juggling that the Chicago Blackhawks did tonight, moving sharply up to the wing in place of Higgins, has paid off. Here's the drive that goes wide. Sharpley has figured in both goals for the Blackhawks, scoring one and assisting Feimster on the other. A centering attempt by Gradin is gobbled up at the side of the net by Murray Bannerman.
You know, by putting pressure on a team, and Chicago defense are no different than any other in the National Hockey League. You apply the pressure, you're going to force giveaways, and that always allows your defensemen to pinch in, come in from that blue line, intercept some stray passes, and that's the way you keep the pressure on and also get those good scoring opportunities. So you see Blackhawks, or the Vancouver Canucks rather, take a few more chances.
Jump down the ice, a race for it. Neal gets there first. Up along the boards, into the center ice area. Neal for Vancouver. Long drive, scores! From the blue line, and the Vancouver Canucks are right back in it.
I had to kind of snicker to myself because from the truck, our director, Larry Brown, said, let's have a look at Stan Smeel 1 second prior to Smeel unloading a slap shot and catching the corner. He picked up the puck right inside his own zone, and from the blue line, a zinger right on the glove side of Bannerman. And there you go. There's a good example of the Canucks being within reach. Now they're only 1 goal behind. Anytime you play that defensive style and not get blown out in the first period, which was certainly a possibility, you have an opportunity of coming back.
The Canucks come back again. Moline tied up, but he leaves it there for Minor. It's flipped in. Wilson in his own zone for Murray. Along the boards, Mulvey over to Ruskowski. Slap shot. Roger gloves that. Back behind the goal for Minor. Up along the boards to Moline. Moline gives it over to Hallward. Hallward trying to go around Preston. Taken in against the boards by Wilson. The puck is loose. Minor's in there trying to dig it out. Comes out to Moline. His shot goes wide, and he's sent flying on a check by Ruskowski. 18-16 left in the period. On the wing for Preston, but Wiskowski was ahead of the play off line. From Chicago Stadium, this is Stanley Cup 82 on CB2.
Hey, chicken here for Mr. Benny. Now cut that out, Fonzie. That's not just any chicken, that's Kentucky Fried Chicken. You mean it's like numero uno? That's right, it's the best tasting chicken there is. Hey, what's the matter? I even like the price. You know, as Rich Little, I can imitate a lot of people, but nobody can imitate the great taste of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Pick up Kentucky Fried Chicken. The Colonel's taste is best.
Now, Don, you keep mentioning how happy you are to work overtime. Is there a possibility again?
One never knows with the Vancouver Canucks. They have been involved in some overtime struggles this year. They play that tight-checking game. In the playoffs, no game has gotten out of hand either way. Dumped in by the Canucks. Higgins picks it up along the boards. Now we've got a scrap going on. Beamster exchanging blows. Darcy Rhoda and Beamster. Rhoda has his sweater pulled halfway off. The two linesmen, Hodges and Finn, attempting to separate the combatants. That happened back behind the play. Puck had been fired into the Chicago zone. And Rhoda and Beamster heading off to the penalty box. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Chicago Stadium.
Share the fantasy. Chanel number 5.
That tussle involving Rhoda and Feimster occurred with 2:16 gone in period 3. The goal by Stan Smeel, putting the Vancouver Canucks right back into the thick of things. Blackhawks and their fans may have felt they had a little breathing room. Now it's dumped into the center ice area, deflected back in by Vancouver, and two players were trapped in across the line offside. 5-minute majors to Beamster and Darcy Rhoda.
Now you see a concerned Bob Fulford. It looked like the Blackhawks had everything under control, but one goal certainly changed the complexion in a hurry, and now you know the significance and the importance of that next one by either team.
Wilson is stopped at the Vancouver line. Murray tries it. It's deflected in by Sharpley. Murray manages to keep it in. He's had 9 shots on goal so far in this game. It's fired down the ice by Vancouver, and icing is the call against the Canucks.
Now, a lot of it has to do with special attention being paid to Doug Wilson, and that allows Murray to be open. So what happened was when the puck went to Wilson, he would just take a shot, slide it over to Murray, and he has had most of the shots on net. And of course, the Canucks are happy about that. They would rather give Murray the shot from his right point position than Wilson. Wilson has a much harder and shot.
Murray, a graduate of the Cornwall Royals, an organization that has sent a lot of players to the National Hockey League. Lindgren into the corner, up along the boards for Fraser. Fraser unable to get it out against Murray. Now it's dumped out by Gradine. Fired right back in by Bully. Fraser goes back of the goal. Trying to play it up along the boards. They poke away at it in the corner, and Eldebrink takes control. He tries to clear it. Kept in at the line by Wilson, but apparently it was offside.
Now, and even though there are 20,000 plus fans here, you hear the organ music in the background, and it's kind of interesting that the organ they have here in Chicago was built in 1929. There's a good picture of it. It has 883 stops, 6 keyboards, and 40,000 pipes. It required 24 railroad cars to move it to the stadium.
You've done your homework. You've done a lot of research, haven't you?
Now, this is an interesting place, the Chicago Stadium.
Here's a chance, 2-on-1 for the Canucks. Gradin and Fraser. Drop for Fraser. He fired it wide. What a great opportunity for the Canucks to tie it up. Now it's Lysiak in across the line. He could not go around Lindgren. Lead pass for Gradin. Gradin trying to go in, and he's knocked down by Brown. Back to the line for Eldebrink. Slap shot. It's just wide. Off the board sharply. Dumps it ahead for Bully. 2-on-1. Chicago. Bully with a drive. It's wide. The puck bounces high to the line. Kept in by Hutchison. Hutchison takes the shot. It's wide. Now Lindgren comes back for Vancouver. Lead pass for Gradin. Gradin takes the shot. It deflects off Hutchison's stick high up into the crowd. This is Hockey Night in Canada from Chicago Stadium.
Built like the big ones, saves like the small ones. The new size Ford Ranger. The only truck of its size with tough twin I-beam suspension. Ford Ranger has a double-wall box that carries 4x8 sheets flat and room in the cab for 3 adults. And an introductory offer that gives you a 2-year comprehensive warranty and 2 years scheduled maintenance at no extra cost. Plus $300 direct from Ford. Details at participating Ford and Mercury dealers. Ford Ranger.
Now the Canucks had a 2-on-1 in this. After that, another good scoring opportunity as Keith Brown, who was inserted in the lineup, takes out Stan Smeal and thwart a good scoring opportunity. So the play has certainly opened up the last couple of minutes.
Here's a chance now for Savard. Working against Campbell. Slap shot, and Campbell got his stick in front of it. In the corner, Higgins for Savard. Savard trying to get away. Gets loose in front. A shot and a save. He gets it again. Cutting out in front of the goal. He scores!
How he can turn on a dime, but just prior to scoring that, he was able to spin away from his check. Look at that good body control. Takes a short cut in front and slides to the far corner, beating Brodeur. Gets away from Moline, and that goal gives the Blackhawks a 3-1 lead.
In the Chicago zone, it's Mulvey trying to get it out. Kept in by Mill. Mill is taken in against the boards by Hutchison. And there'll be a face-off in the Chicago zone. Now they do some pushing down there. I don't think anything serious is going to develop. Although Mill and Hutchison are still trying to get at each other. Officials trying to keep them apart. Mulvey and Knapp having something to say. Well, it looked as though the officials had it all broken up. Now Ruskowski moves in. Now we've got a scrap going on. Miner and Ruskowski. Couple of Saskatchewan boys flailing away at each other. Hutchison and Rhoda have gone to the penalty box. up when you hit the ice. And Miner go to the penalty box. Mulvey has played a very strong game for the Blackhawks, doing a lot of the corner work and bumping. He must have had at least 11 hits tonight. Well, this all started with Mill and Hutchison, and it appears they have finally settled down. And we'll remind you, this is scored Chicago 3, Vancouver 1. This is Stanley Cup 82.
Some oil companies make a lot of claims about their oils, but Quaker State offers an extended lubrication warranty on new car engines protected exclusively by Quaker State Motor Oil, the way they have since 1932. Now that's putting your confidence where your oil is. And what's more, with these new Energy Saver motor oils, you can save enough on gas to pay for the oil you use in oil changes. So Quaker State helps cars last and save gas, too. No extravagant claims, just quality motor oil.
Well, except for gloves and sticks, we have an empty ice surface. All the players who are on the ice have gone to the penalty box. And now Fox comes out to talk to the official. This is always an exciting time for the minor officials, getting all those penalties straightened out. Let's listen to the public address.
Number 20, Jerry Miner, 5 minutes for fighting. Number 27, Harold Sneps, a 10-minute misconduct penalty. Number 17, Tony Curry, a 10-minute misconduct penalty. And number 15, Neil Belland, a 10-minute misconduct penalty. Blackhawk penalties. Number 2, Dave Hutchison, 2 minutes for roughing. Number 8, Terry Ruskowski, 5 minutes for fighting. Number 22, Grant Mulvey, a 10-minute misconduct penalty. Number 24, Doug Wilson, a 10-minute misconduct penalty. And number 16, Rich Preston, a 10-minute misconduct penalty. All at 4:57. Repeating the penalties.
Canada will continue in a moment.
Off to put out another fire, Griswold.
Well, Chief, I found that
I assume you called first.
Right, flights booked.
Oh.
Cars rented.
Uh-huh.
Got the best room in town.
I see.
And Max has reserved my usual table.
And?
And then I called our customer and straightened out the whole mess by long distance.
Stick around, Griswold. You'll go far.
Business long distance. Today's way to operate.
Bob Fulford not at all happy with the misconduct penalties that were handed out. He was really jawing away at referee Bob Myers.
Now let's look at that for a second, Don. The Blackhawks lose their high-scoring defenseman, Doug Wilson. Now they've used 5 through most of the contest, so that'll be down to 4. On the other hand, the Canucks lose Belland and Sneps for 10 minutes. So they'll also be down to 4 defensemen.
Fox in his own zone. Plays it along the boards for Lysiak, who dumps it down the ice. Lindgren racing back, gets away from Sharpley. Pass in front to Aldebrink. 14:42 remaining in this hockey game. 3-1, Chicago leading. Drop pass for Aldebrink, slap shot. And Bannerman got a toe on it. It bounces high and was played ahead with a gloved hand by Brock Murray.
That was an excellent save by Murray Bannerman. He just stuck that toe out and knocked it in the corner. And again, you see Richard Brodeur. And there's a stoppage of play. He'll just skate into the corner and then head back into his crease area. Let's watch it again as they shot from the point area. That had the far post labeled just inside the goal post, and Banner had to be especially quick on that blast from Eldebrink.
On the face-off, Lysiak got the draw right back to the Chicago goal. Bannerman had to make the save. The Hawks are led by Sharpley. Across the line, having some difficulty controlling it, goes into the corner where it's picked up by Eldebrink. He was forced to go the other way. Lysiak gets there first, back to the point to Fox. Fox for Lysiak to the other side, and Brown was unable to keep it in. Brown leaves it there for Lysiak, who returns it. 13:51 left in the third period. The Hawks, against some forechecking by Vancouver, having difficulty getting it out of their own zone. Lysiak tries it. Across the line, he lost control of it. The puck loose in the Vancouver zone, sharply along the boards. And finally, Campbell brings it out. Campbell working to the corner against Brown. Playing it back. Here's a drive by Hallward right on. And it's cleared down the ice with 10 seconds remaining in the minor penalties to Jim Neal and Dave Hutchison. 13:06 is the time left in the third period. Fired in by Savard. He helped restore the two-goal lead. Now in the corner, it's Brassard. Brassard across for Campbell. Campbell to Moline. Hot shot, and Bannerman steers that to the corner. Patterson for Chicago. Clears it to the neutral zone. Campbell fired it back in. And racing back after it is Bob Murray. 12:33 is the time left in the hockey game as Gardner picks it up off the boards with Peter Marsh. Marsh way offside.
Final score, New York Islanders 5, Quebec Nordiques 2.
Fans obviously pulling for the Quebec Nordiques in that other series when they just announced the score. It produced a chorus of boos.
Now the line of Gardner, Marsh, and Patterson have not seen much action. I'd had an opportunity of talking to Marsh yesterday afternoon, and he said, you know, the most difficult thing to do is sit on the bench, watch every line go out the ice except yours, and you just sit and wait, hope for that one opportunity, and then it's important that when you get out there, you have a good shift so that you'll get another turn, but the legs get cold, they get stiff, and then when you get out there, you're stumbling all over the place. But at least tonight, he has seen a little more action than he did in Game 1.
The team's at full strength again as Eldebrink goes back into his own zone. Gets it ahead for Bolderev. Bolderev almost lost it, fired it over on the wing. Centered, and there was nobody there. Now cleared to the line and finally out. Eldebrink fired it down to the Chicago line. Brown flips it back in for the Hawks. Brodeur stops at back of his goal. Lead pass by Eldebrink, too far. Slides down the ice. The icing is waved off, and Hutchison comes out of his own zone. For Secord. Secord to Higgins. He left it for Savard. Trying to go around Campbell. Tried to spin around back of the net. Lost control of the puck. Secord gets it now. Secord feeding it across. Nobody there. Back at the point. Kept in by Higgins. He tried to play it into the corner to Savard. It was broken up by Vancouver. Bolderev brings it back. Bolderev takes the shot. It slides off a leg at the front of the goal. It's centered and deflected to the side of the Blackhawk net. Now Secord over on the wing for Sharpley. He couldn't control it, and Brodeur hangs on to the sliding puck. 11 7:02 is the time left in the hockey game. 3-1. The Blackhawks lead Vancouver. It was 2-0 at the end of the second period. Early in the third, Stan Smeel cuts the lead in half, but then Dennis Savard restores the 2-goal advantage.
Now, Savard, you know, last year he shattered Bill Mosienko's 1944 record with 70 points in a season by a rookie, and he registered 75. So a lot of good years and a bright future for Savard in a Chicago uniform.
When he was selected number 3, that was the highest ever draft pick by the Blackhawks. Lysiak across the line, trying to set something up. He's checked, and it's cleared to the neutral zone. Now Gradin steals the puck. However, his centering pass knocked away by Feimster. Comes out front to Smeel. Smeel tried to pay it back to the line. Picked off by Sharpley. 3-on-2. Into the slot for Lysiak. He couldn't control it. It's loose in front. And Brodeur dives on it.
Some anxious moments for Brodeur, but the Blackhawks on a 3-on-2. See Sharpley cutting over to the wing. Some good work there by Lysiak. The puck was in his feet. He tried to direct it to a stick and just got away from him and slid to the goal crease area. And then Brodeur was able to hang on for the faceoff. The Canucks are running out of time. 10 minutes, 19 seconds left to go. Still time to tie this game, but that pressure isn't there. It was there momentarily. When they got that goal, I thought that they would take over.
Lysiak tried to feed it in front for Sharpley. It was just deflected past him. Hutchison for Lysiak. He could not take the puck with him as he tried to deke Brodeur. Lysiak gets it again. It bounces high. Neither Lysiak or Bully could get the shot. Back to the point now. Murray with a drive. It hit a leg and bounces into the neutral zone. Murray goes back with Hutchison, trying to get things organized again. Flipped in, and back is Eldebrink. Eldebrink to Moline. Over on the wing, Fraser's drive, and it's wide. Bully comes back for Chicago for Gardner. Gardner can't go anywhere with it as he runs into Lindgren. Brought back by the Canucks. Fraser working to the board. Centered it for Grasser, and he just deflected it wide. Now it's jumped to the neutral zone. Bully dodges a check from Campbell, but could not take the puck with him. Moline brings it in. Moline with a shot to save by Bannerman. He kicked it out with Darcy Rhoda cutting in on the wing, looking for that rebound. Fired back into Chicago territory with 8:52 left in the period. Fox moves up to the neutral zone. He's taken in against the boards by Rhoda. Campbell ahead for Grasser. Played in, dumped right back out by Chicago down the ice. Campbell in behind his own goal with 8:29 now left in the third period. 3-1 Chicago leading the Vancouver Canucks. Game 2 of this series. Patterson trying to break in. He's upset by Hallwood. There'll be a hooking call against Vancouver. Live from Chicago Stadium, the Stanley Cup playoff.
Right Guard knows a man needs effective protection. That's why many men use Right Guard. Right Guard has a male effectiveness formula that helps check a man's perspiration odor all day long. So no matter which Right Guard you choose, you get hard-working protection. Right Guard works hard for a man who works hard. Now in lime stick and lime deodorant spray.
Now the Canucks again applying the pressure. You see the hook from defenseman Doug Hallward. And down goes Rick Patterson. So the Blackhawks with another power play opportunity could just about put this one in the bank.
But, Gary, nobody has gone to the penalty box as yet. Doug Hallward is still out on the ice. And finally, Bob Myers skates over to the penalty box and now goes out onto the ice to Doug Hallward and says, "You're the one."
Well, maybe if Doug could have been up here with us and had a look at the replay, he wouldn't have hesitated going to the penalty box area.
Hallward simply was not going to go off the ice. He was down there getting set for the face-off. Now the Canucks have 3 defensemen in the penalty box, as Sneps and Belland are still serving their misconduct. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Eldebrink, Lindgren, and Campbell.
Another thing here, John, when you have 2 centermen on this power play, Savard and Lysiak, you can afford to be thrown out of the penalty box, as Gary Miner is the only centerman out there at the present time. So if Savard is thrown out, you can always move Lysiak in there, who is also an exceptional face-off man.
Savard gets it back to the line. Gardner over to Lysiak. Quick shot. And Brodeur came over to cut down the angle again. Dumped out to center ice. Miner working in across the line against Murray. The 2 of them fall in the corner, and Gardner starts back. For Savard. Savard trying to set something up. Behind him for Secord. He tried to play it back to the line, and the shot is deflected into the crowd for a souvenir.
When Gardner was carrying that puck up the center ice area, Savard almost skated right beside him and wanted the puck so badly, and took it away from him. Look, give it to me. I'll get it over that zone and set up a play.
Well, there's certainly no question about the popularity of young Savard. Al Secord has certainly become a very popular figure with Chicago hockey fans, and he responded this year with a big season, 44 goals. Gardner goes back to the line, dumps it over to Savard. Miner is without a stick. Back to Gardner. Here got just a piece of it. Now it's Secord. Losing control, and Campbell will dump it down the ice. In the corner, Murray with 1:07 left in the penalty to Hallward. Over for Lysiak. Lysiak playing it back to the line. Gardner slap shot saved. Brodeur, and Secord was tied up at the side of the net by Lindgren and couldn't get the rebound.
Brodeur continues to play inspiring hockey, preventing further Blackhawk scores. Again, we have a mix-up in the corner with Secord being involved. Having a few words with Campbell. But the teams haven't backed down. The hitting has been there. You give and you take, and that's the way the game should be played.
7:06 is the time left in the period. 52 seconds remaining in the penalty to Hallward. Game 3 of this series at the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver on Saturday. Game 4 will take place on Tuesday night. And again, we advise our viewers to check your local listings for the game to be televised in your area. Quick shot from a bad angle by Sharpley, just missed. Now it's Murray playing it in for Sharpley. Sharpley knocks it down. Coming out front is Marsh, and as he tried to move out front, he was tied up, and the puck grabbed and held by Brodeur.
Well, the Canucks won the first game. They were very excited about it, winning another road contest. But I think they were only fooling themselves if they thought Game 2 here in Chicago Stadium would be easy, and I think they realized that it would be. It would be a tough battle, and it has turned out to be just that, with the Blackhawks dominating through most of the contest. And referee Bob Myers has just called a penalty against the Blackhawks. I don't know if somebody said something to Myers.
Two-minute bench minor.
So the play was around Richard Brodeur, and one of the Blackhawks argued
And perhaps his choice of language was not in the best interest of what Myers expected to hear, so he called a bench minor. And in 32 seconds, Hallward will come out of the penalty box, and then the Vancouver Canucks will enjoy a power play.
Terry Ruskowski, the captain of the Hawks, who conferred with Myers, explaining to Bob Pulford, the coach, what the call was. And now this is going to prompt further discussion.
Now, Bob Pulford's, his career, 16 years in the National Hockey League, the majority spent with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Spent a few seasons with the LA Kings. He played 1,079 games, registered 281 goals, 643 points. A very distinguished career in the NHL. And now, taking over for the Blackhawks behind the bench, and he made it known that he doesn't want to coach you next year. He wants to just resume his duties as general manager.
Keith Magnuson was probably wishing he wouldn't have decided to coach this season. It's interesting that after Magnuson took that rest, as it was suggested, came back, the Blackhawks lost here in February 4-1 to Vancouver, and that's when Pulford went behind the bench on a permanent basis. Sharply moving in. He's upset. Dumped by Colin Campbell. Smeel brings it back. Over on the wing. Lindgren with a drive. And it's stopped by Bannerman. Peter Marsh serving that bench minor for the Blackhawks as Feimster picks it up in the corner. Lead pass for Lysiak. Just one man back. Lysiak across the line. Flips it over to Fox. Hallward is back on the ice, so the Vancouver Canucks will have the man advantage for 1 minute and 20 seconds. Feimster firing it into the Vancouver zone. The puck a lot of times takes some very high bounces off those boards when it's fired in. Lars Moline works to the corner. Moline trying to play it back to the line to Eldebrink. It was deflected down the ice by Patterson. 55 seconds left in the penalty. Bolderev over on the wing. Rota with a drive, and it's held by Bannerman.
Bannerman hasn't had the quality shots against him, but he has been strong when needed. A 2-on-1 with Bolderev throwing a neat backhand pass to Darcy Rota. And Rota, from the top of the circle, unloads it. But look at the position of Bannerman. He was out challenging. Both goaltenders are very similar in their style as far as challenging the shooter. They don't sit back in their crease, giving up more angle to the shooter. They'll come out. And if you can beat me when I've got that angle covered, you deserve the goal. Let's look at it again as Bolderev uses that backhand very effectively. And Bannerman makes the save.
.49 seconds left in the bench minor. From the face-off, Bolderev flips the puck, but apparently the officials weren't quite satisfied that they were aligned properly. So they move back into the face-off circle. Patterson against Bolderev. Bolderev gets the draw, back to the line. Hallward with a shot. It's gloved by Bannerman. He's way out of his net as he flips it up on the wing to Gardner, and he in turn dumps it down the ice. Forechecking by Gardner. This organizes the attack. Loose puck picked up by Patterson. The Hawks doing a good job of killing off this bench minor. And finally, it fired the length of the ice. Again, Gary, the goaltenders really have to be alert with those long shots and the bounces that puck takes. Eldebrink at the line, sorry, and Vancouver is on top.
Now, when that Zamboni goes around the boards, he misses the 2 or 3 inches, and there's a lot of snow that builds up. So when the puck slides against the boards, it'll hit that snow and bounce up in the air. And very seldom do you get a smooth bounce that hugs the ice. And again, as the players leave the penalty box area,
A few words exchanged.
Darcy Rhoda and Gardner.
And those two guys were not even in the penalty box. Well, Gardner wasn't, Rhoda was.
Well, now the additional players on the ice are escorted off to their respective benches. Darcy Rhoda, a former member of the Blackhawks, and he wants to perform well here in Chicago. He is still involved in a business capacity. He returns here every summer, and he has quite a number of fans still in Chicago.
I want to throw a name at you. I played golf with Stan Mikita at his club yesterday. How about Stan Mikita as a possible coach? He showed interest when I mentioned to him, would you like to get back in hockey? And he said, if the right deal or the right situation came about, I wouldn't leave Chicago. I would want to stay here.
Out front to Smeal, a quick shot. The puck loose. They jam away, and it's cleared by the Hawks. Bellin gets it, his drive, and Bannerman makes the save. He's knocked into the net. The red light goes on. Is it a goal?
The whistle had gone. Linesman Hodges had blown his whistle. But of course, with the crowd hollering and screaming, the players just can't hear that whistle go.
Bannerman was upset. He had gone back at the goal to challenge Smeal. Now Smep is involved. He and Fox were exchanging words. Peter Marsh.
That's quite a picture there. The glove is in the net, and also the puck is behind the goal crease, and the red light was on.
Well, Bannerman took quite a pounding there. And Peter Marsh might take a bit of a pounding if Smith ever gets that hand free. Well, Bob Myers is going to call more penalties with 4:33 remaining. Definitely going on. I don't like to see them get those sticks up when they're having those drawing sessions down in the corner.
I don't like seeing Fraser in the penalty box, and the Canucks are outnumbered now by one behind the net area. Referee or linesman Finn directed Fraser to the penalty box, and right now he's the only one in there.
Take a look at what happened. The puck is still inside the Chicago goal.
Quite a scramble in front of Bannerman. Canucks a glorious opportunity of putting that puck in the net. Now there's where Fraser, he's kind of pushed into the crease area by Feaster and collides with Bannerman. Now look at Bannerman hit him with a stick. Little did he realize that actually Feaster was the cause of it all.
This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Chicago Stadium.
St. Andrews isn't just any first hole. It's the first hole. So you don't just choose any long ball. You choose Top Flight or Top Flight XL. The longest balls. From tee to green, no leading ball can beat Top Flight. Maybe that's why over 3 million golfers play the longest ball.
What are you playing? Top Flight? Wish I had.
Top Flight, the longest balls.
Bob Myers over at the timekeeper's bench attempting to straighten things out. The penalties that have been assessed, minors so far to Fraser and Smep of the Canucks and goaltender Murray Bannerman of the Chicago Blackhawks. Bannerman took a swing with his stick after he was knocked flying. Right there.
Now, what is the reason for Fraser's penalty? What did he get hit for?
He was the one who collided with the goaltender.
They're giving him a penalty for that. It's actually Feaster that knocked Fraser into Bannerman.
They haven't announced any penalties and the reasons for them as yet. The whistle had gone before the puck went in the goal.
Number 27, Harold Steps. 2 minutes for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct penalty. Chicago penalty, number 30, Murray Bannerman. 2 minutes for slashing. Chicago penalty, number 17, Peter Marsh, a 10-minute misconduct penalty at 15:27. Vancouver penalties, Fraser, 2 minutes for charging. Snaps, 2 minutes for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct penalty. Chicago penalties, Bannerman, 2 minutes for slashing, and Marsh, a 10-minute misconduct penalty, all at 15:27. Time of the penalties, 15:27.
Well, the misconduct penalties to Peter Marsh and Harold Snaps. And all the fighting in this one isn't confined to the ice surface. A couple of scraps going on in the stands as well. And Richard Brodeur of the Canucks had skated over to the glass for a good look at what was going on in the stands. Game 3, Saturday night at the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver. And Game 3 of the other semifinal from the Coliseum, Quebec City. And we advise you to check your local listings for the game to be televised in your area.
Well, Fraser did get a charging penalty, Don, so we can only assume that it was against Murray Bannerman.
That's what we would have to assume, although it looks as though Feimster had knocked him into the Chicago goaltender.
That's what the Vancouver Canuck fans were singing to the LA team. Goodbye. And it doesn't look very good for the Canucks at this moment, with the Blackhawks enjoying a 3-1 lead with only 4:33 to play in the game.
Well, we're about set to resume play.
A power play for the Blackhawks.
2 minor penalties assessed against Vancouver, Fraser and Snaps. 1 against Chicago, going to the goaltender, Bannerman. Gradin brings it in, trying to get away from Murray. He's upended. And Lysiak takes over. Behind the goal for Murray. The Hawks, 4 skaters against 3. Lysiak up on the wing for Savard. Stop shot wide. Back to the line. Wilson to the other side. Murray moving in. And Savard cutting in front of the net. Just missed, redirecting it. Here's Wilson with a drive. And Brodeur got a piece of that one. Whose puck is picked up by Gradin. 4 minutes remaining in the hockey game. Thomas Gradin trying to split the defense. And the loose puck picked up now by Savard. The sophomore and across the line, he hits the goal post. Back to the point for Murray. Murray in front, Lysiak, Savard scores!
Savard had just taken a tremendous hit by Lars Lindgren, and he was able to bounce up, get on his feet again, and Lysiak set him up with a perfect pass for a power play goal. Here's Murray, that neat little pass to Lysiak. Now, I don't know how Lysiak saw Savard, but he did, and in one motion was able to put that puck past Richard Brodeur into the net. And, you know, this is only the second time in the playoffs that Brodeur has allowed more than 3 goals. He allowed 4 against the LA Kings in one game, and now 4 against the Blackhawks.
I think we may have another penalty coming up as well. Referee Myers has skated over to the timekeeper's bench again. Oh, look at this. Roger Nielsen has a towel. He's waving the white flag.
message is there as far as Roger Nielsen is concerned.
And some of the fans, despite the constant reminders over the public address system, throw debris onto the ice surface. Now there's action over at the two benches. The benches at Chicago Stadium are side by side, and there's really not much separating them except the trainers and the equipment men. I think somebody at the Chicago bench threw a towel out onto the ice, and Campbell appeared to pick it up with his stick and throw it back in.
The crowd hasn't let up one iota. They're keeping up that tremendous pace of cheering their Blackhawks. And it looks like the Blackhawks will win this game. And then they connect.
Harry, Roger Nielsen is being ejected from the game. Roger Nielsen is heading for the dressing room to a chorus of boos. He gets an appreciative pat from his goaltender, Richard Brodeur. Obviously extremely upset. Now there's a strange conversation. Bob Fulford talking to Thomas Gradine.
Well, now it's Ron Smith's turn to handle the chores behind the bench as coach. You notice Doug Hallward kicking some coins loose from the ice, and now that is such a dangerous practice. You know, the stupidity of some fans to throw coins and debris on the ice. And Williams is also leaving the ice area. I believe he got a misconduct.
Well, it appears as though Miner also drew a misconduct. Jerry Miner and Tiger Williams, they were also holding the towels up in their sticks at the Vancouver bench. Bob Myers has had his hands full with this one, but an unusual situation developing. Tony Curry is serving the bench minor that was assessed, and then the misconduct to Miner and Williams, and coach Roger Nielsen also ejected from the game. .337 is the time left in the hockey game. 4-1. The Blackhawks leading. Dennis Savard's second goal of the game, pretty well wrapping things up for the Blackhawks.
Well, the Canucks were able to control Savard in game one, but he took over in game two with those two goals.
Barry Ruskowski in the corner, gets it back to the point for Wilson. He couldn't get a shot away, and it was knocked out to the neutral zone. Ron Smith in back of the Vancouver bench with Nielsen being ejected. Ruskowski brings it in. Back to the point. Wilson over to Murray. Murray closing in. He fired it wide. Gradine picks it up off the glass. Chicago enjoying the man advantage. Gradine has it poked away at the line by Wilson, and Ruskowski picks it up. Over on the right side for Murray. Murray drops it back to the line. Slap shot by Mulvey. It dribbled towards the goal as it was partially deflected, and Bannerman covered up. Mulvey gets it over for Wilson just as Fraser comes out of the penalty box to step into him and send him flying. Still 48 seconds remaining in the bench minor to Vancouver. Lindgren in his own zone. Back to Hallward. two of them doing a good job of just moving it around. However, they must go to the attack.
Absolutely. You might as well go for it and see if you can score some goals. No sense passing the puck between the two of you.
Now it's Feimster in the corner. Going back to the other side for Brown. 16 seconds left in the penalty. 1:50 remaining in the hockey game. This series, now we've got center ice trap, Higgins and nil. Well, this one has certainly deteriorated in the latter stages. Tim Higgins and Jim Nill. Behind the play with 1:44 left in the hockey game and 7 seconds in the bench minor to the Vancouver Canucks, and Higgins and Nill will be going to the dressing room.
And both players very cooperative. Once the fight was broken up, head right to the dressing room and down the steps for an early shower. Collision is right at the blue line of the Blackhawks with Nill and Higgins. So a couple more major penalties.
Well, the Vancouver Canucks will certainly be ready to hop on the team bus very shortly after this game is over.
Blackhawk penalty number 15, Tim Higgins, 5 minutes remaining at 18-16. Vancouver penalty with Nill.
That's 4 of them down in the dressing room now, 3 with misconduct. And the fighting major to nil with 1:44 left in the hockey game. Mulvey in against the boards with Secord. Secord digs it out, moving into the slot. Tried to spin around, got it back again. Now he feeds it out. Mulvey goes into the corner. Mulvey's taken in against the boards. Cleared to center ice and brought back in offside by Fox with Secord still on the ice inside the Vancouver line.
Canucks are very good at that stick exchange. As Eldebrink broke his stick, Rhoda gave him a stick and then skated over to the players' bench, and one of the players threw Rhoda a stick. So that's excellent baton passing. I'm sure the track and field people would be very thrilled at the way the Canucks handled that area.
Fortunately for the Canucks, they aren't running a relay in this one. Dumped into the center ice area to Mulvey. He loses it as Bolderev tied him up, and it's fired back in. We move into the final minute of the hockey game. And the Chicago fans reacting. They know there'll be a Game 5 here at Chicago Stadium next Thursday, regardless of what happens in Vancouver.
I'm talking to both coaches. They just feel it's going to be a 7-game series, and they're preparing the teams for just that.
Secord plays it off his skates. It's loose in the Vancouver zone with 30 seconds remaining in the period. Witkowski dug it out for Preston now. Secord gets involved in a little pushing.
The last 5 minutes taken forever to complete. Intimidation is not going to work with these two teams. They both play a very physical game, so with all this nonsense that's going on, I think it's going to leave a message to either team.
Darcy Rhoda certainly not backing down from anybody tonight. And as you said, Gary, intimidation is not going to phase either side despite some of the tactics that have been attempted.
Now Secord starts it all, gives Eldebrink a shot. Now watch, first the stick comes along, and now we'll give Eldebrink another one. So Secord gets the slashing call.
Rhoda stepped in there, and he and Secord were
exchanging rather menacing looks.
Menacing? Doesn't throw any punches. Just glared at each other. Aldebrink dumps it out. Hutchison takes a swipe at it to clear it to the neutral zone. And Patterson fires it into Vancouver territory. Just 15 seconds remaining in the period. Lars Moline, lead pass for Gradine, trying to break away, and it's knocked down by Fox. Back to the line. Aldebrink with a drive. It deflects. And I believe we have another penalty coming up. This one against the Chicago Blackhawks. Bob Myers may have called Fox for knocking down Thomas Gradine.
I'm sure the feelings of the Canucks are it's a little bit too late with 2 seconds left to go in the game to call a penalty. But Fox will get the tripping call. You see Gradine splitting the defense, and Fox comes across and hauls him down. And draws a penalty for it. Now it's just a formality of dropping the puck. And then it's on to Vancouver.
Game 3 at the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver on Saturday night. Game 4 on Tuesday, and then the series will return for Game 5 to Chicago 1 week from this evening. Just 2 seconds remaining. Canucks losing by a score of 4-1 to the Chicago Blackhawks after winning the series opener 2-1 in double overtime.
Well, the Blackhawks were certainly the better hockey club tonight. They started off very quickly, kept applying the pressure, and were deserving of the win.
This is Stanley Cup 82 from Chicago Stadium.
You've got the time to spend. Go ahead, my friends. You can depend on your Johnson. Leave your worries behind. Time out of mind. You can rely on your Johnson. Try something new. You can make it through. Your friends are pulling for you and your Johnson. Take the time to do whatever you want to. It's all waiting for you and your Johnson.
More boaters rely on Johnson than any other outboard in the world.
Ford announces the ultimate offer. It's the closest thing to cost-free driving. Purchase any one of these 10 quality-built cars, and for 2 years, virtually all you'll pay for is gas. How? By getting 2 years scheduled maintenance at no extra cost. Plus, a 2-year comprehensive warranty at no extra cost. Buy now, and also get a special 5% cash bonus of up to $500 on all these cars. It's a remarkable offer, just too good to miss. Details at your Ford and Mercury dealers.
We've been telling you that you can get a lot more at Canadian Tire than tires. Like Daiwa fishing gear. Sure, a sporting goods store might have Daiwa.
But only Canadian Tire has these Daiwa Silver Series rods and reels for just $11.99 each this week. Motormaster wiper blades by Trico. You might find blades at a gas station, but Canadian Tire has the safety of Trico for 25% off our regular low price.
So you could go to other stores or come to Canadian Tire. It's your choice. After all, it's your money.
There's a lot more to Canadian Tire than tires.
A couple of big plays in that third period, and a hockey oddity as Roger Nielsen held up a white towel as white as Bobby Pulford's hair, maybe even whiter, in the 3 stars of the game. Savard came through with 2 big goals for Chicago. They won it 4-1, and those were really big goals coming in the third period. Lysiak was just a great player for Chicago tonight. He was star number 2. Sharpley was star number 3, and the final score 4-1 Chicago. Our Stanley Cup coverage on CBC continues in a moment.
To run a successful business enterprise requires good management, a good product, good service. Big or small, the principles apply. It's the same for a business the size of CN. We are a sound, profit-oriented group of companies competing in the marketplace by providing indispensable goods and services to the nation. CN, in business for Canada.
I just love it here at McDonald's, especially during our $20 million quality game, because I love to see people win, the way their eyes light up and everything. And there's so many prizes in our quality game. Over 50 million prizes available. I won! See that? See how his eyes light up? I won! Terrific! You can win a Coca-Cola, Big Mac, and thousands of dollars. So come on in and play the quality game today, because I just love to see you win. At McDonald's.
Tomorrow morning, this man has to make a crucial decision.
Our copier's got a micro process.
Who's that?
This copier's got the works in a drawer. It's the latest technology.
Sure, we've been in the business a long time. Almost 2 years.
Look at the deal I'm giving you. It's just as good as a Xerox.
Xerox? Xerox. When you've heard all the stories, remember, Xerox. Nobody ever went wrong being fussy and stingy.
This goal midway through the second period turned out to be the winner for Chicago. There's Sharpley from in along the boards right out to Feemster at the point. And his hard shot beats Brugger, and that put Chicago in front 2-0, just inside the goalpost. Now, all that action, a lot of nonsense physically in the third period, but that goal that was disallowed by Vancouver really confused a lot of the folks, and the 2 goals by Savard wrapped it up for Chicago 4-1. We'll return with Stanley Cup 82 in just a moment.
Me and Eloise couldn't get along without the CGE air cleaner. See, Eloise doesn't like cigar smoke and hates the smell of boiled cabbage. So, smoke and smells in here, fresh, clean air out here works good. As a matter of fact, the CGE air cleaner and deodorizer is the only thing that keeps Eloise and me together. Ain't it, my little flower?
You don't have to put up with hotel excuses like the maid, the TV man, or the plumber is gone for the day, because Holiday Inn gives you this no excuses guarantee in writing. Everything in your room will be right, or we'll make it right. No excuses, or that night you stay free. Now, what other hotel chain gives you that guarantee? So let us take care of you. Holiday Inn gives you a guarantee, not excuses.
There's the final score. It was only the second loss in 19 games for Vancouver. Only their first loss in road games in the playoffs, but they go to the Vancouver rink now, and Chicago's had no luck there since 1979. We remind you to look forward to Game 3 in both series, 8 p.m. start Eastern Time. Check your local listings. So long, everybody, from the Chicago Stadium.